We're going to open the Board of Selectmen's meeting of July 9th. Open session public meetings are subject to being videotaped. Your image and voice may be recorded. We have several appointments tonight. Let's start with number 1, the police and fire EMS chiefs. Hello.
Hello.
Don't mind my pile.
It would be a nice night to be out of break, huh?
Yes.
You couldn't have like fetched the water. I'm just saying.
Oh, that was good.
Another hour, really?
All right. So we're going to do the second anniversary of the MRI report update.
Yeah.
I'd like to,
I was just talking Chief Z a few minutes ago. I said, normally I have the fancy spreadsheets done and everything, and I said to him, I go, he's making me look bad. I just kept all the notes and stuff in my book that I've been going through, so I'll have to put a spreadsheet together. But on the police end, we had 95 recommendations from the study. 57 of those are complete, things that we've worked through. There's several now that are not applicable because part of the police study was also communications, so now that we've regionalized, that portion of the study is not something that we're worried about anymore. We have another 10 or 12 that we're in the process of working through right now, and that leaves about another 20 that we have to work through. Some of which will probably never happen. Some of it's purchasing some equipment, some of it's kind of expensive, and that we're not in the market for right now. But it's been an ongoing process. It's going to continue to be a process as we look at some of our new endeavors with potential regionalization and things that we're talking about. That also would address some of the things that haven't been completed yet, because that's some of the things that are in there of combining some of the job functions with other municipalities, something that's traditionally not done around here, but that there's redundant things that are done for court prosecutors and things like that, that every town has one. Every town doesn't necessarily need one, but to get people to just combine that one job function and give it to one town has been difficult. Almost as difficult as animal control. So.
yeah, where are we with that one?
Unfortunately, that study that we started to with West Boylston kind of fell apart because the real kind of keystone community was Shrewsbury. They had the facilities we would use, they had a lot, and they pulled out last minute.
Okay.
So for this year, that didn't move forward. But there's some other things that we'll be looking at as we move into this year and start to plan for next year on what may happen, whether it be privatized or again going back and discussing with West Boylston and see where we go. It really would have worked better for us to have Northborough, Shrewsbury, and get somebody next to us involved
Right.
as well. To have it be somebody that's outside completely made it difficult. Northborough currently uses a contractor, as does Hudson, and they use the same person. So something along those lines may be feasible. It's just the expense. It's a little bit more expensive than we currently use. So I already did start to talk to the Board of Health, because they control the animal inspector, to try and maybe combine it into one position instead of having two people doing similar jobs.
Okay. Next.
So regarding the MRI study, we had about 125 things that were listed in that study, and a couple of them were duplicated, but we have either addressed, we probably addressed 90% of them, and then there's the other 10% are either ones that aren't relative any longer, or they're ongoing processes that are still ongoing, or there's some things that, again, we're talking about the regionalization type of efforts that we're looking at, shared resources, things that we may or may not do down the road. Other than that, a lot of it's been accomplished, was policies and job descriptions and apparatus consolidations and purchases, staffing, addressed a lot of them were staffing needs and changes. As of July 1st, we now have weekend coverage. We have 2 on. We don't have the two full-timers hired yet. That won't probably be till September, October, when we go through the processes. There's a written, practical, and oral evaluation for the hiring. But by looking at the budget, we're able to bring a couple of folks on. So we have 8 hours of coverage on Saturday and Sunday right now with 2 folks on to get us through the summer months anyway, which is typically the toughest time with vacations and everything. So as it is, we have 2 firefighter EMTs on 7 days a week, 8 hours a day. Once we have the full-time staffing in place, it'll be 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. So other than that, I just thought maybe answer any questions you might have on the study or what we've been doing.
All right.
Bless you.
Thank
you.
Questions?
No, I really didn't.
Yeah? Okay.
We went through this
With
last
you?
year, so.
Yes.
yeah.
Did you have any
No,
questions?
same, I mean, I
Happy
read,
to, with your permission, because it's kind of your study that the board had commissioned, the town had commissioned. We could certainly have it put on the website so that people can read it and see. I give you this, I think I gave it in computer format.
Word.
That's, yeah, so, whatever.
The study is up,
Technical
I
stuff.
think.
Yeah, that technical
The
stuff.
study
so
itself is
I think
up,
I
yeah.
emailed it to everybody, so
We
we
should
can
put the
certainly make it.
responses.
And I can do that. I can go through the same thing and do the responses on mine.
Okay.
And, that way people can see it, and they have more
Yeah,
questions
okay.
about it, happy to answer any questions. Or
Yeah, and I think it's helpful to see the progress that you've made. I think it.
Again, when we first started, when I first came here 2.5 years ago, it was something that I had read a couple times, put it in the drawer, and kind of forgot about it for the first year, and we just went along doing business as we thought business needed to be done, and at the end of the first year, kind of took it out of the drawer and said, geez, how are we doing, as opposed to what the study said, and a lot of it just fell into line, and that's why I updated it again this, I think it was March when I last updated it, so we've done a couple more things already with the staffing changes, so it's going pretty well.
Yeah, I didn't have any questions. I mean, I went through and saw the blue and saw the green, and everybody had an item, a comment to it, so I wasn't
Right.
overly concerned about, oh my God, they just skipped 15 items. So I'm good with it. And when does this need to be completed by, in full? Or is it ever in
I
full?
don't think. I think
It's up to us.
just
Yeah,
a
it's kind of a
study
living
that-
document,
yeah.
because things, we're
Change.
going to see changes in the next few years and other things that happen that we may go back to this and say, oh, this is what they wanted then. But look at what we're doing now based on changes in the law for me and things like that.
Okay.
It seems like every so many years you'd maybe want to have somebody come in and look again. I don't know what the
Yeah, I
correct
mean, we
timeframe
were
is,
making
but-
changes, at least in my department, we were making some significant changes based on what we thought we needed. And we were on the right track, but we needed to kind of go out and say, what do the professionals in this really say? You know, from the outside looking at us, say we need to do. And on the fire, it was the perfect time, because we were looking at trying to combine 2 entities, and what did the future bring for that? So I would look at it if we, down the road, if we have some other big changes coming, maybe take a look at things again. But if we get into a steady kind of pattern, and we're going to see growth kind of start to level out for us, at least the commercial growth, hopefully we're going to kind of get into a situation where we don't need to have something like this done every 5 or 10 years.
Right. I think,
So-
when was the study done? What year?
2015 they finished. So they started in 2014, I think,
Okay.
and then released it in 2015.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. I think at the time there may have been things that were sort of up in the air, a
Those-
lot of,
yeah.
Issues.
yes.
Yeah.
And this, I think, very much helped.
It's usually
Yeah.
what prompts a study like this is there's some sort of, whether it's interdepartmental issues or growth issues within the community, and things just aren't maybe being addressed the way the
Working
leadership
as
of the
well,
community
right. Yeah.
sees it should be. Then they say, hey, let's take a look at it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
hopefully we're laying a good foundation moving forward that you won't need to do this unless something extraordinary happens.
Right. All right. We want to, does either one of you have any questions as far as we haven't made a decision on the fire chief. But if you had any questions as far as the search, the timeline.
We did, again, just so you'll know, we talked to CMRPC again about talking about the different regionalization efforts, and it's going to take a work to do, and they provided this timeline
Excellent.
Yeah.
for you as to what they think, should this for Mary, they think it should look like, how long it might take. Again, we could answer any questions about that. Again, we just met last Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, and
Tuesday.
and they get that to
Yeah.
us Friday, so we just got it Friday, so we had it over the weekend, but,
Yeah, and we're gonna know more kind of with this task one and the initial input, because we may hit some roadblocks in those discussions that could put this to bed
Yep.
right away. You know, in the discussions we've had, you know, we think the biggest hurdle we're gonna face is the melding of two police unions. Having two separate unions that have to come together, and if they're not willing to work to come together, to try and do it and force them to come together is not gonna be happy, it's not gonna work, it's not gonna be a good product for the towns. So you know, by October, we should have a good idea of whether this is something that we're gonna continue looking at and really diving into, or if we're gonna have to back off and say, listen, it's not ready yet, it's not time. So,
Has word gotten out to Boylston at all? I mean, are people starting to say yes, no, good idea, want to see more?
I know there's some talk within the police department, and that's just feedback that I've gotten. I don't know what their kind of public release has been. I know they haven't talked about it as much as I have.
Okay.
So,
and it's to see
Yeah,
on there,
it's
there's
really early.
some
Yeah.
kind of public forum, so that get an idea what the thoughts of the selectmen over there are, and
Yeah.
the thoughts of the selectmen here, as well as the public. Does the public
Yeah.
think that this is a good idea to
Yeah.
do this? So you're gonna get buy-in, and if there's not gonna be the buy-in, if you're just gonna hit up against a roadblock, then we certainly don't want to spin our wheels for nothing. They talked about applying for a grant to do a more professional study on this to see if, combining some public safety resources is the right thing to do.
So, yeah, one thing that I know has not been done in Boylston yet is they have not had a meeting with the selectmen and discussed it like we have here. And that's one of the first things on the agenda would be to discuss whether a joint meeting of the two boards might be something that's in order, to sit down and all sit at the table and really decide if this is something we are willing and everyone wants to move forward with. So, I think that's what we'll reach out to Boylston in the next couple of weeks and see if we can maybe come up with a date that works for everyone to have a mutual meeting. And I think that would be the real kind of launch for the public.
So their fire chief has not discussed this at all with the selectmen?
They've done more of the discussions with the town administrator. He has had some discussions
Okay.
with the selectmen. I think the town administrator has had
Okay,
discussions with
gotcha.
the selectmen.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, I think the sooner we can get sort of a feel, it will help with the decision on how we want to proceed with the
Right.
search.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I'm good.
So-
I'm not in a rush to leave, so whatever works for you, I'm easy. So,
Yeah, I know I wrote him off as dying.
yeah, last time we sat here,
Maybe there was a miracle cure, I don't know.
it was at the end of, I was moving toward the light or something, I don't know.
All right. Any other questions? All right.
Excellent.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And,
Keep us posted.
yeah, we'll
This is
reach out
awesome. Thank
and
you.
reach out to them and see if we can figure out a date that'll work.
Yeah.
So, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you gonna come
Gentlemen.
in tomorrow morning?
I am, yes.
This is nice. This makes me feel better knowing that there's like an end date-ish.
I have something tomorrow, but I can't remember what it is.
Ish.
Let me know, I
Ish.
just want to touch base.
Well, because it will make us figure out what we need to do.
And I have to come over for the
In that gap.
inspectors
Right.
and.
Yeah, so I'll be, yeah, expect, yeah, so, and then we get the department heads meeting anyway, so that's what's on my calendar.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
All right.
So, the next appointment is at 7, so we'll,
Do you want to grab George?
yeah, let's grab George.
Good evening, all. Yeah, I think the first item is, the most important item tonight is the job description for the part-time director.
Printer? Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully you've got a copy of that.
You what?
I
one.
Sure.
Threw a couple spares in
Yeah,
there.
I sent it
Oh, there is?
to you too.
Oh, okay. No?
I'll just take it. Thanks.
Oh,
Or do you
here's
need
the
it?
other one.
Yeah,
No,
those
I got one.
duplicates.
And I certainly hope we can move forward with that. We had some good cooperation, and thank you very much for your help, and also for Karen's. Excuse me, but I'm not functioning very well today, or this week, actually. So anyway, if you have questions about that or anything, any other input before we do something with it, let me know, and otherwise, let's advertise and see what we get for a response.
Yeah. This, what we're looking at? Yep. I don't know if I had any questions or not.
There were a few little edits,
I
but
borrowed it directly from somewhere.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Almost exactly.
Yeah.
yeah.
Did the council on aging see this?
Yes.
Is it?
Did the council, your board see it?
Actually, they did see the way back, the original, but they haven't seen this.
There were only 3 minor changes.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, they,
Mostly.
Well, I just noticed that you had, must clear a personal query check under job environment, and I believe it's in the other section too.
It could be, yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if you need both those. If you want, I can share the edits with
Sure,
Mary. They're
that's fine.
minor.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, they were just those, I think they were just those two. Oh, and, you know, until we've got to do something if we're gonna put select
fine.
board on
yeah,
everything.
this was from months ago.
Yeah, so when we, you know, when we do a document, we need to put selectmen until we change it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, all right.
Not a big deal. But, Mary, you want me
If you wanna
I'll
give me
just-
the edits?
Yeah, I'll just give it to you and,
Thanks.
All
And
right.
it's up on the team drive.
so what else would you like to talk about
Well,
tonight, George?
that's the biggest thing. But there are several issues that need to be addressed either, not necessarily tonight, but they need to be on the agenda so that you can have them as a to-do task. One of them is that the bus needs a place to go home at night in the bad weather. In the good weather, it doesn't really matter. But when it's snowing out, it's virtually impossible to shovel the roof off the bus. So it needs a home to get in out of the rain and the snow and the ice. And at the same time, or in that same vein, I need a place to put a tremendous amount of stuff. Wheelchairs and
That was,
all kinds of stuff.
we actually, Chief Z is back here. Let's ask him about the room next to Council on Aging. The one that used to be the weight room.
Yes?
When the Historical Commission takes their items out of there, were you looking to reclaim that, or could that be a Council on Aging storage room?
Well, it was originally a training
Oh,
room.
a
right?
weight room,
It was
yeah.
a fitness room for the
Right,
people in the buildings.
both you and fire and
But
police.
We're looking at renovating the upstairs over here, so.
Oh, okay.
So that's a reasonable sort of
possibility.
solution,
So that would be
possibly.
wonderful if it was here. That would
Actually,
be,
historical was looking to hold on to that space.
well, they could be.
Well.
Everybody's looking to hold on to
Right.
something, so,
They have a whole building, so
yeah.
I think,
You might want to talk to historical though, because the chair has indicated that he might want to use that space on an ongoing basis.
All right,
Well, we will figure something out.
okay. So that's one area I would like you to deal with, the next item is something that's come up before and was handled by the board previously, but needs to be readdressed, and that is the drivers of the bus, the van, technically the van, it's not a bus, are being compensated at the moment at the work-off rate. And we can't get anybody from anywhere to do it for that. Certainly not anybody from out of town, because of course that rate was set based on the work-off program and the veterans and so forth. So we need to address a rate for drivers and a way to make that conversion over as painless as possible. Because, you know, it's going to be a thing to have happen. At some point in time, we have to say, okay, we're not going to pay $11 an hour anymore. We're going to pay X or whatever we decide. My suggestion is that we look at what towns close by us are doing
Right.
and just pay whatever they're doing and just, you know, because we can share people, but I can't share anybody now. There's at least one driver in Clinton who could come and spare some time if the rate were comparable. So that's the next item that I would like to have worked on is the pay rate, if you would, for that.
So we need to get comps on
I
that.
can, I've done that once
Did you?
before, so yeah.
Okay.
There's a significant difference, several dollars an hour.
All right.
And then we have to look at what's budgeted too, and how we're gonna do that.
Yeah. Well, you weren't looking like tomorrow, right?
No.
That's a long term.
My master plan is that one of the drivers will probably be out of the work-off program by November, December. So sometime within that time frame, we need to make the switch so that we can start.
You can continue?
Yes, she can continue, yes.
Oh, okay.
And because of decisions that were made by a previous board, I can't do the work-off program because I'm on the board. So
Right.
this person isn't on the board, but irrespective of that, we still have to come up with a level playing field for whoever drives the silly thing. Okay. The other part of this, hey, Barry, did you show up yet?
I
No,
don't
Barry.
see him.
All right, well, Barry's probably going to drift in sometime, but we have a whole bunch of stuff that the cemetery owns. It's in my greenhouse. And we need to find a home for that. Excuse me, and it would be very nice to have a home for it where you could work on someplace where there was electricity and water and a place where you could put the trailer in with all its stuff on it so you don't have to unload it and load it every day. We've been lucky in the past because no one has broken into the shacks that are pretty remote and unconnected to the world. But they did. At one time they stole mowers and stuff from the cemetery shack. So
So it's mowers and tools and...
5 or 6 mowers,
Okay.
weed whackers, blowers, lowering devices, greens, plywood, tons of stuff that
And you don't want this at your house?
Well, I don't care, but the greenhouse is it's full. Yeah, it's full, and grandchildren have things they want to store. Plus, I think the thing's going to cave in this year anyway. So, so it's something we ought to come up with a solution for.
Okay.
There's also a truck that a small dump truck that would be nice if it were housed. So anyway, all that being said, we need solutions for those. Those are the really biggies. There is, I believe, going to be an issue with the Powerhouse News too, but I haven't got an answer on that yet. So we'll need to address that when the time comes.
Okay.
Perhaps our new.
Well, that is in your director's
I know it is.
job description.
Yeah, I know that. I saw that. But just as a heads up, it's going to get utilized, I think. So that's really all I have.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you.
We will put these on future agenda and
Yeah. Okay.
see if we can come up with some
And
solutions.
do a little bit of
And
solutioning.
hopefully, the new facilities manager, maybe when they do their sort of overview of when they come in, they can maybe broach some
Figure it out for us,
solutions
yeah.
Yeah.
for this.
Okay. Thank you very much. We'll see you all later.
All right.
Willie.
Thank you, Mr. Prendergast.
George?
See you good day. See you. Bye.
Alrighty. I wonder if, I forgot I was gonna address something with the fire chief that's down here at the bottom, in case he wanted to take off, but maybe he doesn't.
MOU request?
He doesn't need to be here for that, does he?
Well, you could just explain what it is.
Well, we'll see if he comes back. So the next thing on the agenda is the minutes from June 25th.
Not ready.
Okay. Then it would be just the June 27th, where Lisa and I were in attendance. So you and I can vote.
He's back.
Okay, well, let's do this
Motion
one.
to approve.
Seconded. Whoops, sorry.
That's okay. Did you have any minutes
No.
look okay?
They're fine.
Okay, good. All in favor? Aye. Okay, motion passes. Chief Z, did you want me to go down to the bottom of this agenda to your town council request for the proposed MOU for Central Mass Disaster Animal Response? Would you like to?
That would be fine. I'm here for the finance committee meeting anyway, but.
Okay, well, I didn't know if,
That
yeah.
works.
Well, why don't we do that, part of that now? Can you maybe just give a brief explanation?
Sure, it's that the CM DART team is a regional team, and they have a memorandum of understanding with different departments about their response to the communities. And there hasn't been one that I could find on file anywhere
Oh,
for the
okay.
town of Berlin, so that's why I thought that maybe the town council should look at it. There's a lot of legalese in there.
Yes.
And beyond my scope, so it's more than 1 or 2 pages, so
Okay.
I thought that it might be best to have them look at it before we sign on to it.
All right. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to have town council look at the document.
Seconded.
Okay. If there's nothing else, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright. We have no refunds. Am I
No,
correct? No,
That's
we
right,
do.
none.
Not.
There are
what?
none.
Okay. Bill schedules. We have one from Austin Design for $3,825, which we need to approve.
Or 1870, right?
Yes, that's the architect. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Remind me, do we need all 3 signatures on here, Mary?
2.
2, at least 2? Thanks. All right. There's a licenses for Red Barn Coffee at 3 Bassett Road.
Actually, so when the application finally came in, I just generically put on the agenda as Red Barn Coffee. It's Village Pizza and Cafe.
Village Cafe and Pizza.
Oh, Cafe and Pizza.
Okay. All right, and,
So the only issue would be if you wanted to sign that tonight, that you might want to hold that same with the liquor license until the certificate of occupancy issues.
right,
How close is that?
We'll find out tomorrow, hopefully.
okay, so we could grant this pending the certificate of occupancy. Do I hear a motion to that effect?
Motion to that effect.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So then when will it be opening? I have multiple people asking and I tell them soon.
Soon.
Soon. Okay. Great.
Thank you. Alright. We have a change of manager at TGI Fridays to Maureen Ann Carter.
It's just that it went through here, and then the ABCC does the further Corey background
Right.
check and everything else on it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve change of manager?
Motion to approve.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here you go.
Thank you. And we have approval of a change of a beneficial interest application for Regal Cinemas.
Same, all the research is done at the state level, it just has to pass through this office. There's no
Okay.
advertising requirement, and there's no notice to abutters requirement for these two.
So this is to sell liquor?
Nope, they already
Already
can't
did
sell
that.
liquor. This is
Okay.
just changing one of the beneficial interest holders for the corporation.
Okay.
And this is slightly different than the 745 appointment, which is not just a change of interest, but it's a stock transfer, which would trigger requirement to
Okay.
advertise in the newspaper, which they also did. But that has to be a scheduled public hearing, and that'll come up later.
Okay.
All right.
Motion to approve.
All right.
Seconded?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Here you go.
All right. We've got an appointment of Henry Bud Collins to the Economic Development Committee, term to expire 5/31 of 19. This is also pending the planning board approval.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Well, planning board has a meeting tomorrow. So pending the planning board, do I hear a motion to appoint?
Motion to appoint.
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. Actually, Molly, you should have spoken up. I was gonna move you up to the top of the agenda. However, that is to do with the vacation policy bylaw employee guide. We've got some time. Do you want to do number 9 as acting personnel? Review of the vacation policy bylaw employee guide, and then we can address the 2 vacation. Is that all right with you? All right. So, Peg, you had researched or given us a draft of
Mhm.
the review of the vacation policy.
I did just want to, I do agree pretty strongly with June that we kind of need to take a deeper look at this and not rush through it. So
Okay.
No, I agree, but I mean, given all the items that were coming up, I thought it was beneficial to at least start to get them down, and to find the information that's out there, and then have us look at them. You're right, I don't want to rush to judgment. I don't want to say, boom, here, it's a week old. Congratulations, this overrides everything.
Right.
But I mean, it is pretty important as some of these items keep coming up and we're getting stepped on, so I'd rather try to focus, go through whatever comments that you have now, and then figure out what else needs to be done. And then, as June pointed out, how there's a mere 3 versions of the policy guide, that once we decide on something, we just make a note that insert section here now overrides anything that's in the guides.
Right,
Yeah, except we have a bylaw, which
Right.
you can't do that,
Yeah.
so.
right,
The bylaw would have to be done at town meeting.
Right.
Guides,
Yeah.
we can
Adjust, yep.
or add a procedure, or whatever you want to call it.
So, I mean, was there anything glaringly missing, or items that I hadn't thought of that you ladies had said, oh, we forgot about, oh, we need to add?
I probably just had maybe 1 or 2 questions, but I don't know that they're,
Yeah, I mean, I find this whole thing sort of confusing. It,
it is.
yeah,
I think we need to clear it up,
Like,
make it clear,
when,
one way or the
when
other.
it starts, my gut feeling is we need to start with 2 weeks of vacation, because that's how you get good people in. There's no way that a professional is gonna come in
With
and
just 1
with
week.
just 1 week. That's part of what the problem that we're running into is nobody who's been doing something for a certain amount of time and is used to having 2 or maybe even 3 weeks is going to go for this. So we're having to override it repeatedly. And I think that's one of the issues that we're running into a lot. And then we need to either decide we're gonna start accruing when they are hired and just have a period where they can't use it or something of that nature. But I was looking at I looked at, had 8 of these open at different places, and they all do it slightly differently and write it slightly differently. So
Yeah.
it's
Correct.
kind of, it was hard to come to a, this is the way it should go. But, yeah, this is another area where, we have a lot of things in play that should help with this, whether it's getting the personnel committee in, or getting the HR consultant from CMRPC, or even getting the town manager in. Any of those things should help
with
with
doing
this,
this
with
policy.
doing this
Mhm,
policy.
agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I just had simple questions which could be addressed with some of these suggestions also.
Right.
When is it you're going to look at each employee's vacation? Would it be fiscal year, July 1? And it's going to be based on the amount of continuous service originating with the date of hire. But then if you give a week or 2, which you did address
Mm-hmm.
in this draft, then
You don't accrue.
right. So,
Well, I mean, probably where we're going on a fiscal year. Obviously, we're gonna need to run this by FinCom, so it would have to start fiscal year and not calendar year.
right.
Okay.
That's what my thought is. But you say we've been doing this a little bit differently.
Well, see, it depends on when you're hired, because if you get hired, I don't know, we were looking at if you get hired in September, based on what we have right now. If you get hired in September, you pretty much don't get a week's vacation until the following September.
And then if it's not given to you
And then
until
technically
the
that's
following
when you
July
are
1,
entitled to it because you've been here a year.
right?
So now you would have it, but you wouldn't necessarily, the following July, you would still get another one, but you wouldn't get your 2 years until that next September. So even though the fiscal year is there, it is, but it's not, because if you started working, say, in May, you wouldn't get a week's vacation that May and then get a second one, so now you've got 2 weeks.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So you would have to kind of look at it based on,
Yeah.
Like
It's almost one of
It
those
should
that
be
would
an
better off if you
accrual
accrue
thing,
Right.
where
one
we
day per
start it when
month
they
as you
start.
work, and yeah.
And yeah,
But
I think that's probably the solution that I would
And
come
for
to
some
in the
reason,
end,
I'd have to look at it again, but I can't remember if the police union contract is something like that.
I'd have to look.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember.
They probably have that addressed in their contract, I would assume.
There's some, and it's different than, almost everything in their contract
Yeah.
is different.
Right.
than what
And
these
one
are.
of the communities that I liked had a draft of that sort of thing too, where they just started accruing when they were hired and,
Well, I was trying to think, I was just trying to think what would make it easier? If you have to go to each person's hire date, or is it easier to go to July 1? That's the way I was thinking.
well, it only matters really for the
If you're
first
The
starting
little
time that
to
it
bit.
jumps,
accrue.
that it jumps.
Yeah.
It would, that would be the only time that would really matter. Would be on their anniversary date as to when do you go from 2 to 3 weeks, when do you go from 3 to 5 weeks, you know.
And people have to be aware if they're gonna budget for things like
Right.
that too.
But, it would be up to the department head to actually know these things. 'cause
Yeah.
They should know these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a question or
Well,
a
I
comment?
was just gonna say, in my other positions, we've always, you accrue it from the day that you're hired. You
Mhm.
can't take it till after you're from.
Probation?
Probationary,
Probation,
whether
thank
it's
you.
90 or 6 months or
Whatever it is, and then whatever the town's policy is, whether it's January 1st or July 1st, is when you carry over. So if you get hired in September and you start accruing, you carry over however many days into the next fiscal year. So that's when so it would be a week and 2 days, or however you decide on the accruing.
I think if you were gonna accrue, then you probably could do it on July 1 or January 1. Am I right?
We could.
Yeah. But it's when you have to relook at how many years they've been there and
Mhm.
Yeah. So
every
this
time.
is, I guess, where I'm going. This is
Yes.
complicated, and I'd love to see somebody with a little bit of professional experience come in and help us, whether it's any one of those solutions. But right now, I think we just need to decide on the two that we have.
Great.
And my suggestion would be that we give them each the 2 weeks that they have for them this year, since we're right at the beginning of the fiscal year. Does that make sense?
So how do you feel about that?
Well, do they accrue?
Well,
Well,
is
the
that what
question-
you do
the
for a
question,
regular
I guess,
employee?
be
Would
is, are you
they?
giving them credit for years? Because then that comes up with.
Yeah.
Right, if you're giving them credit for years, then that would mean that when they've actually worked here 1 year, they would be entitled to the next step. 5, right? 5 is the
Well,
next step?
you have to be here 7 years for that or something, don't you?
Okay.
Yeah, so
But
1 year
would you
is
just-
1, 2 is 2, and then it jumps to 7.
7. So are you giving them 2 years of credit? Because now that would mean they'd only have to work here 5 years before they get the 3rd week. Or are you just saying that you're gonna give them their 2 weeks and they don't get any additional time
Until 7 years?
until 7 years?
Is that
What
what
are
you were
you asking
thinking when
for?
you did this, or you had something else in
No, I
mind? Didn't think about it, or?
Didn't think about it.
Okay.
What would your recommendation as a
I-
manager be?
I guess for now, that, yes, then they would stay in the schedule. So it would be 7 years before they could do 3. Unless when you form your policy, it all
It all
gets changed.
changes.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I was
But I think
thinking.
that's a compromise.
And
Right.
then they would get 2 weeks every July.
Yep.
Yeah.
2 weeks every July until they hit 7 years.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
once
or the
again,
policy gets changed.
Yeah, that's another number I'd look at, but yeah.
And all bets are off.
Right.
But for now.
So, I mean, that sounds kind of reasonable to me. How about you, Peg?
That does, no, I like your option B. That, you come in, here's your 2 weeks, you don't get the credit for service, so at 5 years, you don't jump to 7, because I think that would cause too much discourse and, oh, why are you doing this? And, yeah, remember, no, so if we just say, come on, here's your weeks, and then this is how you're gonna start accruing.
Yeah. And to be fair, you also told me this afternoon that this person that you're hiring has about, what, 20 years of experience in this area? And,
It's
you know,
hard
it
to-
was,
When you switch a job, it's hard to give that up.
Yeah,
Right.
it really is, and it makes us, it makes it harder to hire.
right,
Agreed.
someone who's experienced. Whether, it's gotta be whether it's vacation or salary.
Yeah. All of those
Sometimes
factors.
one or the other, or both, or whatever we can do to hire good people.
So then
So-
this person comes on for 2 weeks, and then at the end of their first year, do we assume that those 2 weeks are used up and they start to accrue, or?
Mhm.
Or would they,
Well,
Yeah.
they'd be
Would
the
you have to
same.
wait
Carry
six,
over,
you know,
or-
the
well, that's what I
probationary period
believe
before they
verbally, I
do
told her that she couldn't take it until after her
probation.
probation timeline,
No, what did you tell her probationary period was?
90 days.
Okay,
That's industry standard.
yeah, that's,
So I would say if we just put it all in the letter, throw
Yeah,
it in the file, then, as long as everybody's in agreement.
you just have to refer to the letter.
Yeah, and that's just it, yeah. We're gonna have
Yeah.
to come up with like almost an addendum to the letter so that we're not sitting here this time next year and the person's like, what?
It won't be
Where's my?
Next year, it'll be like 3 years from now, and we're all going, what? Like, we need to give
Yeah.
us
Who are you?
something.
Who are you and what was your name? Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Okay.
right.
All right.
Would that go
Or until the
for,
policies change.
would that go for new employees only, or is that retroactive to previous employees that were hired earlier?
You already got credit for time.
No, I know that, but
Say.
what I'm saying is, at year 5, I'll be eligible for another week, based off of the way it's set up. So
Did
if
yours
you,
say years of credit?
It did,
Yeah, mine did
it
say
does
years of
have
credit.
years of credit in it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
put years.
so I'm just wondering, like, if you move this to years, it's like, do I have to go 7 years now before?
Let's worry about this right now and
No, no,
we'll
no,
worry about that at
I-
the time we
yeah,
change the
yeah, yeah.
policy.
I think we'd like to get it all in alignment,
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Be nice to get it aligned so it's all across the board and everything.
Once we
Yeah,
get a personnel
Um,
person, we don't care.
yeah. They can make recommendations
You
and
could only hire
yay.
people on July 1st every year.
That is
Yes,
correct.
we only
Perfect.
hire on July 1st. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, so, do we want to put this sort of on a back burner for now? And take a look at the other items under this
Yeah.
number 9?
Yeah, we can. I mean, and we can start to pick away and try and reach out to people to see if they can give us a better idea of the vacation policy.
Okay. So the other items under number 9 are requests for a vacation carryover for the highway hire, which Keith recommended, and a, do we have the review letter for, oh yeah,
So same item where
yes,
Same.
he
So I would
wanted to
say
pull in for 2 weeks.
Same exact
right.
solution.
So
Motion.
would you like to make a motion?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to go ahead and allow them to start accruing 2 weeks, usable after the 90-day probationary period.
Seconded.
And do we need to put letters together to explain this to these employees, or
Yes.
yours is good, I believe.
Yeah.
Whoops, that's not the right one.
I can add that according to the personnel bylaw schedule
Right,
for remaining vacation accruing weeks, or something more simple than that.
Okay.
Trying to get it all in.
and can you draft one for
Yes.
the highway employee? Thank you. And so we've got a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Now we've got a few minutes. We have letters that we were going to send out one to the Northborough Board of Selectmen seeking status of SA Farms.
You
Or
didn't
did we
finish
miss-
the,
Oh, did we-
6B.
What else do we have?
Okay, well, why don't we do that then? We've got 2 possible appointments to the Historical Commission. What is the board's preference on this? Do you want to discuss one or the other, or do you want to discuss
I'm
them?
gonna move to approve Elaine Wickstrom.
Okay,
I'm gonna second.
okay. And the Historical Commission has given favorable.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Then we've got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alright. And this one is for you to sign.
Oh, yay.
Do you want a response to the other applicant?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. We've got, like I said, letters to Northborough Board of Selectmen concerning SA Farms.
Oh, do we have to, there's also a D.
Yeah, we need to do a
We
D
need to
on
do
this.
to the IT committee so that they can make quorum
Oh,
regularly.
you know what?
Do you
Are we
have an
skipping
older
Going
one?
off an old agenda.
Are we skipping C?
Did we do, what else?
No, just there will be a correspondence to see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Boy, I need really stronger glasses.
Sorry, to get it on one page, I
I
had to go
know.
real small.
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking at D. No.
Yes.
D now, yeah.
Police Chief Tom Galvin has filled out an application for the IT committee to expire 5/31/19.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
Have you been having a little bit of trouble maybe with
Well,
quorum?
it's not any one person, it just, schedules
Right.
are really busy, so,
Right.
yeah,
Well, that's
and they were
good.
down one, so this would help with them to make consistent quorum, and it'd be nice if somebody else would step up,
Mhm.
but for now, this is a good solution.
Right. Yeah, we snagged him, and I think he was gonna do it anyway, but snagged him today. So we've got the motion on the table, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There you go.
Alrighty.
And then we even have an E.
Yep.
A revised appointment letter, tax collector Dennis Fearbay. We appointed him on March 19th. And this is to bring him in line with,
I just had one question, and I think you can answer this. It says it was a non-benefited position. Wasn't it a benefited position when it was?
He was elected before.
Okay,
So now he's appointed, he's a regular town employee.
Okay,
And I don't believe he's over 20 hours, but I don't know how that works between elected official and
appointed
appointed.
official. Okay, and it's strange because he has benefits anyways, so it wouldn't make a whole heck of a lot of
Not
difference with that.
financially,
Okay.
but,
Okay,
That was just a
Yeah,
draft,
it's
if you
just-
want to make that a
and
fee
my
benefit.
biggest thing was that he is an employee now in the tax collectors without a salary listed. And
Okay.
finance committee lumped it all as one line. So if we don't give him a salary direct, technically
Okay.
whatever's in that line.
okay.
Could
knew
very
that.
well be his because you didn't say anything about a salary. So if he's a new hire
Yeah.
without a salary.
He
Right.
drafted that budget.
yeah.
I know that, but
Dennis
what I'm
was-
saying is,
But
he's a new
there's,
hire
If it's all lumped
with no
together,
letter to me to say, what do you pay him?
Mhm.
So for me, it was just a clarification in the appointment
Okay.
letter that what's his actual salary?
Okay.
and are there others who come out of that?
Yes.
All
Well,
right,
there's
Out of
supposed
that.
to be, yes.
He's working on hiring somebody to
Yes.
do that. And
right.
hadn't gotten them yet.
Well, if that's the line item, then that wouldn't be the salary then,
Both,
correct?
it's combined into one, is the way it was.
I just
Yeah,
put some in it just for working.
so we need to come up with what part is FU
Or
back.
to, when you're hiring him, normally when we hire somebody, we put down what the salary is.
That would've been nice, huh?
Just saying.
So,
It makes it a
so
little
we
more
can't
helpful.
actually do this until we
No.
have a number.
But
Right.
the collector gets
It
paid
breaks
once a
out.
month?
He put in $8,000 in the budget, is what he gave to finance committee.
So
Was
$8,000. Yeah, but that was for him and the other?
No,
that was just for
That
him.
was just for him.
Okay, so that just splits out over the
Yeah.
year? Okay.
Is that monthly pay? Is that?
No, that's
No,
really
that's,
No, I know,
$8,000 a year.
but does the tax collector historically get paid monthly?
Monthly in the past.
Okay.
okay.
Okay,
So we just
You
have
have
to
the
do this
23rd.
and get through this year, and then it all combines and your life is easier.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay.
So during the town meeting, there wasn't a number assigned to the conversion from appointment, from
Well-
elected to appointment?
Yes, but it was a bulk number, and she needs an actual monthly.
But for the role, it wasn't assigned?
Correct.
Wow.
That's correct. Well, I mean, when we create any job, we don't necessarily, in the language creating the job, the legal language creating the job, say what they're going to be paid. That's dependent on experience and
And higher,
a
yeah.
lot of other things. So it's less unusual than it sounds.
Okay, so motion to
Normally we
approve?
don't.
okay.
Yes.
Until just recently.
They were elected, now they're appointed, now they're the same thing.
All right, so we have a motion to approve.
Seconded.
All right, anything else? Okay.
We're good.
All
It's
right.
just we create all these problems for ourselves, just like.
I know, really. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so sign. Signature, yep.
The only one whose feedback I didn't get on that would be Dennis himself.
Well, he's getting what he budgeted, so hopefully
Oh, yeah.
he's cool with it.
If not, I'm sure we'll worry about it.
Oh,
Yes.
I'll do a work-off program in his portion of the garden, I'll weed for him, it'll be all good. Okay,
Thanks.
you're welcome.
Alrighty, it is 7.
I know,
but we
it's
don't
7
have,
o'clock, but we don't have a quorum
Stan or
yet?
Scott, so.
I'll be right back.
Okay, or we
I
do.
think I hear at least
Are we
one.
getting sworn?
I saw Mr. Ray.
Okay.
He strolled in.
I had a quick question for you guys.
Yep.
The like-kind soils bylaw that I drafted, do you want me to reach out to Amy on that, or do you guys want to just hand it over to her and get feedback? How do you want to handle that?
Well, let's see, that was
13.
13. But we can answer that now.
Okay.
We got a minute. So that was, I was gonna ask whether, the building inspector has offered to write a cease and desist policy for us. That's why I wanted to notify the two of them, if that's fine. And then also whether the like-kind soil policy that he drafted should go to Amy, or would you like him to contact Amy? That was basically what I was gonna ask.
I'm fine with Joe going to Amy and cutting out the middleman.
Yeah. Or I'd be the middleman. Are you gonna copy the
Well,
selectman's
just-
office?
I mean, just copy
Yeah.
everything in.
Okay, yeah.
But, yeah.
It's not a problem. I just wanted to see which
I
direction the
think,
board wanted to go.
I think it's easier for him to drive it than it is for us.
Yep.
Well, like, do you,
Just a copy. right?
no, I was gonna say, would you like Mary to forward it to Amy and then connect the two of you?
That's fine.
Okay,
They'll give her a chance to look it over, and that way there it's not a cold call from me,
right,
you know.
right.
So, yeah.
Give her a chance to look at it and maybe find out when she's available to
Sure.
speak to. Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
Did you want to give approval for him to do the cease
And
and
then there are
desist? too?
3.
Well, no,
Are we
that's...
all agreeable to that?
Okay, yeah,
I-
we're waiting
I
to
am,
swear.
To
yeah.
kind of
When we
notify
have
you,
to
so.
swear in, because...
Yeah, I
this-
was here, I think, when we
There'll
originally
be a
talked
brief
about it. I
delay.
think it's a good idea.
Give us
Yeah.
about 15 minutes and we'll be
Okay,
good.
I think
It's
we're,
okay.
you're
Stan
okay
needs
with
to
the
be sworn
cease
in?
and
Yes.
Still
desist
working on the
also?
cease and
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
All right.
Okay.
Have
We're
fun.
good. We're
Perfect,
good.
perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted him to,
I
let's
think
let people go
next
home.
Yeah, yeah.
meeting will probably have your fee schedule
Yep,
and also
Bullard House.
the Bullard House.
yep.
On-
And I've already forwarded that on to you.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
so,
So if you have any questions beforehand, please reach out, let me know.
okay,
All right?
thank you.
Joe.
Thanks, Joe. Right.
Alrighty.
So we should
So
need
You're
to-
still
There'll be
Couple
about
more
a
minutes?
15-minute
I
delay.
was gonna say, you're still short
All
of
right.
Stan.
Well, Stan will show up.
I know.
Barry will appoint him and get him sworn in.
Stan is swearing in the hallway.
He's swearing in the hallway now.
Oh,
All right.
oh.
Any minute
Camera
now.
up there.
Awesome.
Never let it be said we don't appear without due ceremony.
All right.
Do we want to do quick 14A? Because that's pretty cut and dry.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Except that I have to find it in here.
All right, well, hey, I guess take that back.
All right, we're good?
So we're legal and everything, what do you want?
Wow.
I mean.
Come on down.
Come up to the front of the room, gentlemen.
See, I know I'm on television, but it's beyond hope. What are you gonna do?
And Scott, we just appointed Chief Galvin to IT, but I'm sure anytime you want to jump right in there, he'd be willing to give that spot up, just so you know.
So, you know. So what can we do for you?
What can you do for us?
Yeah, well, you know, you asked us to drop by, so I figure you want something.
That's a loaded question.
I'm
Well,
smart
we're
that
doing a
way.
year-end closeout.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And, I don't know, June,
Is that
if
some
you want
sort
to
of a
come up here
dance?
too? Did you want to come up? You can tell us when we're doing something wrong.
The comma's in what spot? No.
All right.
All right, so we have legal expenses. Looks like we're requesting $8,092.43.
That's in a reserve fund transfer?
Yes.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, we have the money to do it. We have to say yes first. We have the will.
All right.
But, do you want to do these one at a time? Is that the idea?
Well,
I mean, that'd be fine. I'm just asking.
yeah, it doesn't matter to me. We can just do,
Let's go one at a time.
Okay.
yeah. So do you,
Well, I guess the only reason maybe not to is we have to see how much total it is to see what we have in the reserve fund.
We have 37,125 in the reserve fund. I just checked.
Can I just do a quick summary?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so we have legal expenses for, I didn't get the final total.
$8,092.43.
And we have an EMS expenses of 3,500. Streetlights of 155. And cemetery expenses of 1,200.
Okay.
So it's all within what you have, but.
Okay.
Yeah, what do we need to do about snow and salt?
Snow and salt, I think we're doing through
We're covered with.
Line item.
line item transfers.
Yep, that's what I got.
Okay. So the total for the RFTs is, I mean, I know it's within what we've got, but I'm just,
I didn't write down what was for legal.
8092.43.
8092.
8092.43.
Oh, that's the legal, oh, the, yeah, okay.
2,500 plus 155 plus 1,200, $12,947.43.
does anybody expect any more RFTs to show up before the books close? Anything else we know of that's,
I believe we're good, aren't we, Mary?
That's all
Selectmen
I've
accounts that I
heard.
know of. There's no one else that I know of.
June, what was your email today? That I saw you going back and forth with Chief Paul. Does that come into anything with that, with this?
The chief,
Yeah.
Z?
Yeah,
It's here.
okay.
okay.
And when do we close out?
The 15th is the official, so it would only be, you'd have a couple of days that you could possibly call another meeting. But
Right, okay.
This is kind of it.
And one quick question. I saw the communication today about the cable access funding and the fact that you're going to be funding them until the special town meeting in the fall. Is that something you think financially you can do, or do we need to think about a reserve fund transfer?
I think we determined that we could financially cover that.
Okay.
Then
With the specification that once it goes to the town meeting and they vote it, then they will transfer.
Sure, they'll refund it. Yeah.
Could it be a reserve fund transfer if there wasn't an initial appropriation this year? Is that why we didn't do it?
That's why we couldn't do it. There is no
Well,
line
that's a good
item.
reason.
Yeah.
Okay. Ask and you shall be answered. That's always good. Okay. So,
She has the actual paperwork.
so what are the extra legal fees about? Just out of curiosity.
Capes of Berlin, ongoing Maplewood.
Okay.
Conservation, earthworks matters.
Okay.
It's been busy. And it's also been, no slam, just underfunded, you know, it was known to be underfunded.
Yeah.
From the $50,000 request the selectmen initially made, with an idea of doing this like check-in at the end of the year and see
Sure.
what we needed.
Okay. You guys have any questions?
What did we fund it at?
40,
40.
Yeah.
or is it 30? I know I don't have that handy.
I don't remember, but it was in that neighborhood, and at the moment, it doesn't really matter, so it's okay.
And frankly, just to make it clear, with Tom no longer on the board, I suspect you're gonna see more legal fees.
With Tom Nollander on the board of what?
Board of Selectmen.
That they'll have to go to outside
The
counsel.
lawyer is
for-
no longer on.
Oh, yes.
Going forward.
Yes, sorry.
I think none of us are comfortable acting in that capacity, and we will be using
Oh, yeah.
legal as needed.
Yep. Okay.
It was actually 30 this year, so we are a little bit over 50 total, which is, you know, it
Yeah.
still would have been a small reserve fund transfer versus a large one.
Yeah. We're cheap, we know.
I never know
Not saying.
what it was funded at for next year.
40 for next year, so keep that in mind too. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will bear that in mind. Okay, you guys have any questions about the first one? Do I hear a motion?
I move that we take from the reserve fund in the amount of 80, what?
$8,092.43.
8,000.
Hey, you.
Wow.
Just because you used to be on the finance committee doesn't mean you
Very
get
generous.
to move the
We
decimals
do the
around.
same thing?
Yes.
Here you
I
go.
moved the same thing that Stan just said.
Okay.
And then some, only in
So I
English,
don't
only in
remember
English?
the
Yeah.
number.
And
Except,
you're-
except I'm
and
gonna move
and I-
8093, because we don't do pennies.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
As long as it's up, not down.
So do you want
It
me
is
to
up.
change this, Mary?
Yep.
I'm here for you, Jim.
Thank you.
I'll give you the 57 cents if you need it, just saying.
Whoops, shoot. Gosh darn it.
We'll flow into free cash.
Don't give me any.
Thanks.
Yes.
You'll make all the.
The official documents, just
Yeah,
just
don't.
say
Well,
sign here.
this isn't the official
No,
document.
that's,
That
that's
is.
just
okay.
a copy.
Yeah,
So I
so
made
see,
sure
I
nothing
can,
got lost.
You're gonna
I
miss
can
this.
screw
I
up
think
the
you guys-
copies.
You're gonna miss this.
There you go.
Definitely.
You're
We don't have to
crying on the
sign-
inside
Do we
right
have to
now.
sign
Feel
this
it
one?
now.
No.
Yep.
Oh,
That's
do
the one
you?
we-
Where?
That's
Yeah,
us.
right there, that's highlighted.
Where it's yellow.
Right underneath that.
Oh, that's because the stickies were on it.
Ah.
Everybody's a
clerk.
critic, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
What is it, like bottom of the barrel? Oh,
You.
yeah. You on that side of the table.
Yeah.
Thanks.
See, if we were here, the ratings of this television show would totally go up.
They would. Do you want to stay for a little while?
Well, I think we're gonna anyway, because
Okay.
you want more money, so.
I
you
do.
know.
So then they need
Yes.
to sign
Okay,
that.
so Scott, are you gonna second the thing?
I'll second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
I'm not used to seconding motions.
All in favor?
You said to
I
make
made
a
the
Aye.
motion.
Did you
All
second?
I
opposed?
did.
Okay, all
On
in
what he
favor?
said,
for-
yes.
All right.
Aye for yes, not
Aye.
aye for no.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, so we're unanimously in favor.
As are
We just need to sign it.
Yes.
Okay.
That was kind of painful. Funny, but painful.
Hey, we're terribly efficient when we're by ourselves.
That's when we work together.
Well, we don't have an audience most of the time. We're nervous, you see.
Okay.
Wait a minute,
No
this
cameras.
was,
Their meetings
so I
are-
need to sign this one.
Those are the two bills that you can now pay for,
Ah.
thanks to that. Those are the
Alrighty.
last two hangers on.
Do we need a motion for this too? Or
Not
just-
really, I mean, that would be
like
part of
a
the warrant.
warrant.
June's just gonna take them and
Right.
put them in next week's warrant.
Okay, well, how about if I sign this?
Do we
One
have to cover
signature?
that? One will do it, yeah.
Okay.
June,
Two would be nice.
Two would be nice. Two's always nice.
Oh, I know I have my
Three is
phone.
ideal.
Peg has to sign all the other ones, so.
Thank you.
Last time in the book, so I don't know what I'm missing.
Yes, you do, ma'am.
I'll assume that June's numbers are correct since she's more likely to be correct than
For all of that.
especially since this is known to have others over the years.
Right.
We used to fix it before we did.
Everyone needs
Oh,
That one.
No, it probably
All right,
was
so now we go to transfers.
No, yes,
a meeting
I did.
that I missed a couple weeks
Nice.
ago, so that could be the transfer.
Well,
we do.
Okay.
Fire
I think-
EMS.
I think that goes to you now.
Oh, more of those to sign?
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Mhm.
So what's next?
So the next one is fire EMS expenses for $3,500. Additional ALS intercept something fees and towing and repairs to ambulance.
Thus
Oh.
demonstrating why we needed to get a new ambulance.
Exactly.
Although the new ambulance, because we're going to go to 2, this one was still new enough to last us another 5 years or something.
We'll send it to the non-lethal calls.
Judgment call,
Yeah,
triage. We'll
don't
perform
even say that.
triage.
You're on camera.
I know I am. That's why I shouldn't be on camera.
The mic right there.
This is why I shouldn't be on camera. It's just
I'll
not
make the
good.
motion on fund count to support a $3,500 reserve fund transfer for fire expenses, fire and EMS expenses.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do I
Okay.
hear a
Motion to do the same?
Aye. I'm in favor too.
Seconded.
Okay,
Yeah, I
all in
know.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So we've got the hang of it now.
Smooth sailing.
Alrighty.
And I think there's another one, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want?
Street
The
lights.
expensive one. That's when we have to have a lot of discussion about.
Yeah, it's $155.
Yeah.
It's worth it lots of these.
Isn't it traditional to argue over
Yes,
the cheapest
exactly,
one from
that's what
town
I'm
meeting
saying,
procedure?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so there is
Not
a
all
small
traditions
balance.
are good.
I know that.
I've
There is a
allocated an
small
hour.
balance in the account of $541. The street light bill was $688. So we need $155 to balance out. So do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Seconded? All in favor? Aye.
Have we added a lot of streetlights? Because historically, that fund, we've had several $1,000s left in it at the end of the year. And so this is a first in my tenure that we've had to transfer money into
Really?
the street funds. And I
No,
remember.
we've done it a couple of times. Usually it's only like $5 or something. It's been pretty
we cut it
close
back?
And
usually.
June writes the check.
We cut it back specifically because it's had several
Electricity,
$1,000s in it.
I was gonna say electricity we usually have,
Right.
we've been
We're-
doing good,
yeah.
but.
We're working on the LEDs, so. we're
Don't we
just-
have a group buy sort of thing that lowered our electric rates that would actually make this less likely?
It was,
Not for the town?
The town
What
is
the-
different. We
Commercial.
do have something for the
It
town,
was
but
the
it's different.
commercial rate is what we wound up with, I think.
Which is
Industrial.
less than.
Yeah.
where's that booming character?
Yeah. she's not here to-
I'll move $150 on FinCom for streetlights from the reserve fund transfer.
Second.
155.
All in favor?
155.
Aye.
Aye.
Scott?
Aye.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm writing
that's good.
the really official looking book here. We'll turn into the spreadsheet that's in the town report in May of next year.
Okay, 20, 25, 563,
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
155.
cemetery expenses of $1,200. They had more full burials this year, which increased that expense considerably. This will result in increased receipts that will help the town budget in FY 2020. This is used to cover expenses of burials and cemetery care.
Why do we get the receipts later? We get the receipts later?
For,
Burials?
Burials.
You have to
They're on a
use it in
payment
the
plan?
future year. It comes in this year, but it gets certified to be used next year.
Yeah.
Is that what it
Yes.
is?
Yeah.
So this is just the expense side of the equation, basically?
Yes.
Okay.
So do I hear a motion to do a reserve fund transfer of $1,200
Motion to approve.
for cemetery?
Seconded.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1,200 is the number?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll move $1,200 as a reserve fund transfer to cemetery expenses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's everybody.
Hey, you got a plan. Now the fun ones.
Here you go, sir.
now that everybody's got the hang of it, we're gonna
Yeah.
change things up a little.
That always happens.
Or we're just gonna dance to Lisa's folk
Mm-hmm.
music,
We could
just
do that,
saying, jamming.
Well, Lisa was gonna dance. to Lisa.
You are.
We could do.
You are so
Could do that.
good. No, you do your
Just a
thing.
sec, yeah.
Yeah, don't.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We'll get to you.
All right.
Yeah, I'm doing addition here and
I know.
subtraction, so don't, you know.
I know, I enjoyed not
Could
having
be.
to do the addition and subtraction.
Seriously. Okay, so
Just
$1,200
round up.
bucks.
Always.
Yeah. Just do the whole dollars now.
1,200, so
No,
that's...
no, we've got some sense on this one, just saying.
Yeah. So,
This one's
These
just to
are-
make things a little bit more interesting. And we're gonna do some transfers from line items, because we can now, at the end of the year.
mhm.
And it's pretty much to take care of the snow and salt deficits. And we tried to use what little was left in snow and salt's wages to clean up their own deficits. And then we went on to Chapter 32B and Medicare and used up those accounts. Mary did a wonderful job, and she made this cute little, like, spreadsheet
Grid.
for you guys.
Lisa
Grid.
likes graphs.
Yeah, so it makes it a little bit like,
I'm gonna get
that's what,
Whoa!
just so you
Brownie
can
points.
kind of, not all the other stuff, just the small little section.
Oh, all right. Restrict my field of vision to the
We could
spread.
do a
Yes.
spreadsheet for this.
Okay.
In
We'll have
larger
to figure
font.
that out, yeah, well.
So could you
Yep.
do a quick,
So pretty much what we did,
What am I doing?
Do you,
Nothing like the chatting.
all right.
this is what snow and salt looks like
Mhm.
as of right now. There's some money still in the overtime
Mhm.
of 16,000.
Mhm. I
And
didn't hear
we
that.
had a deficit in the part-time wages of $733.60.
Mhm.
And then we had a deficit of $53,747.58 total in expenses. So what we did is we took the overtime wages, moved it here,
Mhm.
and the balance here, so that way what you appropriated in the snow and salt is still there.
Right.
Then we took an additional $37,400 from Chapter 32B
Mhm.
and pretty much wiped that account out.
All right.
And then we took an additional $1,000 from the Medicare line item.
Okay.
So that will bring our snow and salt down to nothing.
Okie dokie. Quick question. Normally we do this at a special town meeting before the annual, right?
Normally, you would vote it from free cash,
Yeah.
one vote, one done.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we're doing this extra work. We did it last year too. Last year we were able to do it out of reserve funds, but
Yeah.
the idea is to save motion at special town meeting or even sometimes maybe
Special
especially
town
from even
meeting.
having a special
Yep.
town meeting so that we can do the transfer at the end of the year. When we made that decision in March, our deficit was really tiny, and then we had 3 back-to-back March snowstorms, and it was sort of too late to do something at
And then
town
April,
meeting,
too.
And then
Okay.
April, and so
Yeah.
it ended up being a much bigger number than we were expecting, and so it takes a little bit of extra
Yeah.
lift to
Okay.
And if we
wipe it out.
chose not to do this, then we would have the legal right to raise it on the recap sheet, to
Right.
raise the taxes this year to cover this, if this does not happen.
Right.
All right. Well, between now and next year, let's talk about it and see whether we want to go back to what we were doing or keep doing this. I don't know that I have strong feelings about it one way or the other. So this is just for us to do? They don't have to, they just have to watch?
No,
no.
we,
Oh, they have to
this
do
is a
something?
mandatory, we need all signatures, otherwise this
Alright, yeah, so-
cannot happen.
I don't know
Understood.
if you want to do this as a lump.
So June, if we
No,
weren't,
that's just copies, just
Oh.
to make sure that we had them all, that's all.
so if
All
we
right.
weren't
Or
sweeping
do
this
we
out of
want
these
to
accounts,
do
it would
this
just,
individually?
these accounts would go to free cash
I'm okay
anyway. I
with
mean,
a
that's
lump as
basically
long
what
as
the
we have
vote
a
of
total.
free
But we would
cash.
have to raise the taxes next year
Right.
on the
Oh,
people to
okay.
cover this.
Well-
Right, okay.
You're moving
If we
from
don't
one
want to raise
line item
taxes.
to
So it
the
doesn't
other.
Since we don't
really
have enough
matter.
in
Yeah.
reserve fund, we can't
Yeah.
do it.
Let's do a lump.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
do I hear a motion to approve Mary's grid
Yeah.
for the
Yeah,
the-
motion to do the necessary
line item
transfers
transfers?
as recommended by
Seconded.
June.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so the first one
Yeah,
is
what she said.
the 7:30.
You guys aren't gonna round up again, right? Because she's got
Sounds.
No, that's not our.
This time we will not, because
We
it's
will not, because if it's
We're
all
not-
written up and ready to go, let's not
Right.
Not mess with it.
all the paperwork that's already been put together.
So it's a total of 54,487.98.
And
We had a
so,
lot of snow.
Yes.
because sometimes the cost of snow is just 1 inch or 2 inches is
still costs about the same. It's not exponential, or it doesn't
We
go
had a
up
lot
with
of
the
ice too, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which was.
And even threat of snow costs some money, because you do the pre-sanding just in case it's going to snow. Are we gonna do it as just one?
Yes, we can do that. Do I hear a motion?
I move to do the recommended transfers as necessary to cover the snow and salt deficit.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
It's the first one. Here we go. Signatures abound.
Just tell me I'm not gonna end up with another mortgage after.
Surprise.
It does feel, yeah, it
Last
does
thing I
actually
need.
feel a little
Yeah.
bit like that.
By
Getting the
signing all of
paperwork
this,
tomorrow
we're not
in the
gonna have
mail.
to add to the recap sheet for this year. So.
There you go.
Last one.
You just put check marks next to a couple things. I thought you that's to check the whole piece.
No, I'm gonna anal that way, so to make sure that we get everything done.
Kind of easy to follow.
Is it
the
okay
checks.
with everybody if I put down the date of your meetings?
Yes, please.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Well, actually, we met on the same date.
Well, good. You don't have the other appointment until 7:45.
How
Yep.
about that? Okay, let's
Yep.
see.
So,
There's item C too, I don't know if you.
yes, I'm just about to tell June she could fill us in on this issue when you're finished. When you're finished, take your time.
Oh, wait.
What was my,
There's a little thing in there.
dude, I had an email I think I
Yeah,
sent
can
out
she
with
just
it.
see that real quick?
Sorry, we had a lot going on today.
Yeah.
My brain's a little toasted.
Fortunately, there's water, though.
Mhm.
I picked up 4 nails of nail polish. It's a 4-nail day.
Oh,
Yeah.
gee.
Oh, we, when I was posting the annual town meeting warrants, normally what I do is I post it based on what the budgets are into the general ledger so that I know what everybody's budgeted and how it works out. When I went to do the municipal building, 1870 Town Hall, public buildings account, it was short $5,000 from what was requested. I sent out a memo, and Scott got back and said that with the, or was it you, that was planning on reopening the town hall, the 1870 Town Hall, hopefully by December-ish, and they would be able to start taking back some of their expenses. The theory is a good one. The problem that I foresee could happen is that, one, the employee was given a step raise, which was not included in Keith's original budget first. So that could cause us a little bit of a problem. In the normal world, if you don't give the money, the person doesn't get the step increase. So for me, it would have been cut and dry, but because this is a split expense account possibly, if the step raise goes into effect, the plan would be to take the balance out of the revolving account. Problem is if it doesn't happen, then we're gonna come up short, and a raise was given that there wasn't money budgeted for. So that was my first dilemma. The second one was just to make sure everybody is aware of the fact that at the time that the new elevator went in, the 1870 Town Hall was slowly running out of money. So if the elevator project did not happen, it was a good chance that we would have run out of money in the revolving fund to begin with. It was not funding itself. So I just want to make sure that's out there so that even though the town hall may be up and running and possibly taking back some of their expenses, they may not be fully funded depending on the new cost of the elevator with the electricity. The electricity has already jumped up about $100, I think it was. And charter has also gone up because before it was like a monthly fee of like $21 a month. Now it's $115 a month. So because we needed also the line for the elevator and the phone, or the alarm in the
Yeah.
elevator. So there's additional expenses on top of those that were already there. So I'm just throwing it out here now, at the beginning of the year, so everybody is on the same page that there very well could be a problem with this, and this is one of the accounts that we're gonna have to keep a close eye on, or somebody's gonna have to keep a close eye on. Because we may run into a problem come the end of the year, whether it be reserve fund because there isn't enough money there to cover it, or there may not be enough money in fuel oil because we're gonna wind up having to cover the expenses versus them paying for theirs. So, just,
Okay.
I figured this would be the
So,
time
I'm
to,
assuming
where
we-
everybody was here.
We will probably have to have a conversation on a future agenda to discuss.
Because this is another one of those departments that doesn't do a budget.
Right, right. So we may be asking you to come to a future meeting to discuss it.
Do that.
All right?
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Just so y'all know.
Heads up.
Okie dokie. I don't, sitting here at this moment, I don't know what the typical income is for 1870 Town Hall from rentals, et cetera, in a year.
I think Leanne had a spreadsheet
Mhm.
a while back.
Mhm.
We could probably dig it up and send it to them.
To FinCom?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could, that would be helpful.
It was, I don't know if it was monthly or something
It used to be monthly.
estimating or.
There hadn't been revenue for.
Right, right.
But yes,
Yeah.
it used to be a monthly
Okay.
thing.
I mean, I know the hope is that things will be better now, just because it's
Yeah, yeah.
more
Yeah,
accessible.
I mean,
But
but-
that account is currently zeroed out because that money
No,
was used to touch.
currently there's $6,000 in that account right now.
Okay.
But that was because we, the town took on more expenses this year than we have in the past for it, so that there would be a starting amount in there. But keep in mind that payroll alone, we originally had it so that $4,000 out of fuel oil was coming from there. Electricity has gone from $150 to $200 a month. Payroll is approximately $750 a month. Pest control is $65, and then, like I said, the charter went up to $115. And the elevator maintenance, I'm not sure on who's going to pay for that, whether it's going to be the 1870 or if it's going to be public. So there are additional costs associated with it, and if they're only starting at 6,000, there isn't enough right now to take that on for any length of time, so.
Leanne comes back from vacation on Monday. Perhaps her freshest spreadsheet would be more useful than the one that I
Right,
have from a year
exactly.
ago.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll ask her.
I have a thought, and thoughts like this may have already bounced around in the 1870 Town Hall people's heads or someone's heads, but now that it will be accessible, there is probably a broader range of weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and other events that in the past might not have used the space that would feel able to use the space now. I know at least of one in Berlin where I live that's interested in using the space once it becomes accessible. But it might be a good idea to do some marketing.
That's what I was just gonna say.
See, it wasn't
Yeah.
someone's head. I
No.
knew it might be. So,
Yeah,
just a
There's
thought.
a lot of venues that do that kind of marketing.
Yep.
So maybe we'll have that conversation also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and particularly if there are online resources that list places that are ADA compliant.
Right.
Because I know for hotels and motels that is true. I do not know about event
Yeah, it was a real, we
locations.
turned away at least twice a month, somebody that wanted to use the
Mhm.
venue for that kind of thing.
Yep.
And it wasn't accessible, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
right
yeah,
hand
yeah.
couldn't make it up the stairs, or,
Mhm.
you know, no matter what you have, whether it's a bridal shower or wedding, there's almost always somebody that can't make it up the stairs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's definitely gonna increase now that we can.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was part of the argument, I think, for
It was
Yeah,
doing it.
exactly.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just thinking, in addition to folks who come to you to put the word out,
Right.
to let them know is probably a good thing to do.
Yeah, so we
Yeah,
can
well.
come together, come up with a marketing plan and a budget proposed, and we can talk to you guys. And
Yeah.
so-
Does the FinCom want to be included in the conversation or?
I
or
don't
filled in anyway, or?
Speaking for myself, I mean, only if it involves spending money. That is our thing, after all.
Well, I mean, I think we have to get on board. They don't have a budget I mean, why is it outside the budget? Just because it's kind of a gray area where it falls sort of to public buildings and
Well,
sort of...
it's come from being nothing to being an actual, I don't want to say a business, but it's actually now becoming more than that. I mean, originally it was just somebody was just picking up the phone and making reservations where, now we have somebody who's there
Right.
10 hours a week and, you've got a lot of other things going on there. So I think it's one of those where it's come finally to the point now where
Yeah, so I
you're
mean,
not
how
going
does
to
that- how
have
does
all
that
your
get
expenses
established? Yeah,
yet
how does-
either, because now we have additional expenses, and if it's used more, you're going to have additional
Yeah.
costs associated with the cleaning and.
I think we should keep
So they
an,
get that fun paperwork that you send out for budgets next year.
Even if we don't use it as an actual budget for a line item purposes, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea just to keep an idea as to its funding.
I think once we have some experience, now that it's accessible, we should think about, as we do with some other line items, where the income's not an absolutely clear number at the beginning of the fiscal year, but we make a good, an informed, good faith estimate of what we think it's going to be. That's probably what we should move toward doing.
And there is, I do have to relook at the revolving fund, because with the new modernization law, we may have to tweak it a little bit to make it fit better.
Okay.
So,
Good chance to look at all that stuff. It'd
Yep.
be really great to get it clear, and also the role of the Town Hall Advisory Committee.
Yep.
Yeah.
That committee has no power.
Right.
Which, so far it's been fine, but just thinking ahead, do we want that committee to be like a library trustees, or do we want it to be?
That's an interesting question.
What do we want to
Yeah.
do? Who's in charge of who, and who reports to who?
Right.
It's a good
that would
time
be
to-
very important.
Yes,
Because Keith is
Good
in
idea.
charge.
Would be
of
very
things.
helpful.
right.
You're in charge. Paul's in charge. So,
Do you
we're just-
volunteer?
Julie's in charge.
No.
We're 10 years old, so it's time to make it
Yep.
real.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. We'll keep you
So
posted on
Let me
it.
know when you want us to come. And
All right.
Do you want to buy anything else tonight?
Yeah.
We still got how much in the reserve fund?
I'm not telling them.
$5. Okey-dokey, so we could buy lunch, we could buy dinner, just saying.
Don't let Paul hear you.
I think that can be considered an inducement.
But it actually comes into
That's
the
right.
There you
the
go.
fund. so.
That's right.
Only if it's in the town of Berlin, though.
It is.
I know
It
it
is.
is. Yeah, I'm just
If it's not the
saying.
town of Berlin, they wouldn't be coming to this meeting anyway.
That's
Where's
right.
they gonna go on a Monday
know.
night, just saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the fun.
Or else would they want to be?
Yeah.
This is
So,
true.
no, seriously, any other questions you folks have or things you want us to? Not that we won't see you again.
No, but you guys do not have anything posted. Are your plans to meet at all in between now and budget time?
Yes,
Okay.
but we will post something. We'll talk about it and get back to you.
I was gonna say, Scott's going, don't look at me.
Yeah.
I've promised Barry that I would stay on at least for another couple weeks, just in case there's another quick need for a FinCom meeting, so that we don't have issues
Right.
with quorum.
Well, we've got about 3 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Due to the
Yeah,
posting
so-
requirements,
You know.
but-
After that,
But,
we'll
yeah.
Got to go to
Never say
Tanglewood
never.
again or something.
after that we'll impeach you. How's
Yeah.
that?
That'd be the way to go out.
Be nice. Be nice. Might need him back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty then. Thank
To
you.
the meeting,
Thing
all
here
of you.
is the Selectmen's request of the Secretary of State's office to put the CPA ballot question on the November election. I mean, it's just a formatic thing, just asking the Secretary of State for access to the ballot, but that's coming up in two things here.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah, so
No, I don't
yes.
think there's a,
Yes.
I mean,
We would like it.
do you have questions about it? Okay.
no, I think it was just to process the letter so that Eloise could do one
Yes.
election.
That sounds like a good plan.
Yep. At least for Eloise.
Yeah. Well, if you wanted to do 2 elections, I'll stand back and
No,
watch.
no.
With an attempt at a town meeting in October? Is that?
She will hurt us.
I know that.
I would
That's why I
assume
said
there
what
will
I
be.
said.
I don't know. I don't know when, but we most likely will have a town
Okay.
meeting, special town meeting.
Okie dokie.
All right?
That sounds like a good thing to do.
Great,
All right, then I think,
Probably-
then I think we're done.
Probably like October-ish.
Thank you, Ms.
For
June.
the special town meeting.
Okay.
I'm gonna go put
See,
this
I'm on
stuff
camera, I
out
didn't
there
swear
and give
once.
Buzz the key.
Remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
The accurate
No,
numbers.
he gets sworn in.
Certified the accurate.
That's different.
By no means close.
Did you have fun in Providence?
You guys want to figure
Yes.
it out.
Yeah, we should have lunch or something.
We need
and-
to do that.
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
coming this weekend?
Welcome back.
Oh,
Thank you.
Probably get leafy.
Thank you.
Are you-
By the way, if you like coffee, go to Vienna. Or like send the mail and ask them to send you something. 'Cause holy cow, it's good.
Very good.
Oh yeah.
Did you bring some back?
I did.
Okay. Did you bring some tonight?
No.
No, all
I think
right.
it should be awake. It's your meeting.
What time's breakfast?
Have you seen the agenda? We're gonna
With
be here for a while. Can you go
buzzards
home and come back?
I plead ignorance.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate the support.
Yeah, you're welcome. You know, we can do coffee.
All
Okay.
right.
See you later.
Bye.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you. What's that?
Nope. Right?
At 7:45.
Oh, okay, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
All right.
So we have letters to be written, as I've said a couple times now.
Yep. Motion to approve the letter to the
To
select board, right?
Northborough?
Or SA?
This is to Northborough to inquire about
The farm.
the farm, and because Peg had been questioned. So, motion to approve?
Seconded?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the other one is for
Support
Senator
for-
Tran and Naughton.
An
A letter
act-
to the House
yeah.
and Senate. And my take on this was that supporting this would be an easier path to approving local zoning and housing initiatives while retaining local decision-making authority. However, I did talk to Tim today, and they will be discussing it tomorrow night. If we are in favor of sending the letter, I'm going to suggest that if they are not interested in sending the letter, we don't send it. So
like a
it's
plan.
up to you whether we want to approve it or not, if you have a, an opinion.
No, I'm good. I mean, if they don't want to participate, then yeah, I wouldn't
I wouldn't
send
want
it, no.
to put something
Yeah.
on them
I
that...
think planning
Mhm.
knows a lot more about this topic than we do, so I
Yes.
would defer to their expertise in this area.
All right.
Agreed.
So, do I hear a motion to sign the letter, but to defer to planning whether the letter is sent?
I move what you said.
Okay.
I second what she said.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Alright. And, let's see, Secretary of State seeking permission to place the CPA vote on November 6th, general election ballot. I'm sorry, did we get a draft of that, or? No, we just
No.
want to,
Maybe I didn't. It's not in there, bundled together?
I didn't
just
see
looking.
one from Eloise.
Oh,
I
maybe-
thought she was just asking.
Yeah, I think maybe we were just gonna ask you to draft it. It probably hasn't been done.
I thought I did. If I didn't, by signature by the chair this week and get it out.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute.
Is that one?
Here's this one. I'll let you sign first since I'm
Okay.
looking through this pile.
So
Oh,
for
and
that
this one.
yeah, on the Selectmen one, to the Northborough Board of Selectmen, is it all right, could I get a copy of that? I'd just like to send
Yeah.
it to
Yeah, Mary
Mrs.
can make
Chandler.
you a
I'll give it
copy.
to you, I'll give it to all the selectmen signed scanned.
Okay,
Okay.
here's the one to
Yeah,
Hank Knott.
just so I can follow up with her
Yeah.
and show her.
Okay.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna sign that one. That's the Northborough. We'll just switch around here. Oh, wait, here.
Oh, you got
Is
it?
it there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I did.
All right.
So,
Oh, you haven't signed that one.
oh. And this one, did we take a vote on this?
Motion to send the letter to the
Secretary of the
Secretary.
Commonwealth Elections Division. Oh, this is to be signed by Peg.
Seconded.
Okay,
All right,
all
so
in
there's-
favor?
Aye. So
Aye.
there's Mr. Tran.
Okay. I can see why Tom get these messed up, these piles, huh?
We've got some pretty serious piles here too.
Signed.
All right. Nope, we got it all set now. And, oh my gosh, it's still 2 minutes or something.
All right, anything we can do quickly?
How about 15? That seems like easy peasy. Surplus disposal
Yeah,
for
that'd
meeting
be good.
tables.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, the 4 meeting room tables, 2 in this
Yeah.
room, 2 in that room. They're really in tough shape. I would recommend we dispose of them.
I move to dispose of the 4 meeting room tables that are falling apart.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we did do 14, did we not?
No.
No, we didn't. So, signature on estoppel certificate.
Which one is this? Is this the one that Tim had recommended legal, or? is this
He
another one?
did, the email I had from Dennis said that sometimes Richard just ignores them.
No, this is
Oh,
different.
this is different.
Oh, no, you're
No.
right.
Okay, so
That
it's
was a
not-
different one.
That's another.
Sun Edison,
Sun Edison. Okay.
which is also on here.
So,
Yeah.
It's 12B.
oh boy.
If you look through papers a little bit more slowly, we can hit 7:45 just.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
That's my point here.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's a
And
few
that
things we're
16
gonna
is
have
pretty
to sign that we
straightforward,
went.
16 is just approving of the work-off programs pushed all the departments that the town photographer is available.
Well, let's do that one then.
Yeah.
The town photographer, Peg Sardell had drafted a letter, you all saw it, that she wants to send out to the departments. If you're in favor of the letter, then we could vote to approve
Okay.
that letter.
Motion to approve the letter.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, I think we're close enough.
Mm-hmm.
Come on up. Excuse me. So I'm going to open the public hearing for Qdoba Mexican Eats at Highland Commons. We're doing a change of manager to Stephen Gordon Barr.
That's me.
And stock transfer. And let me find the appointment. There we go. All right, do I need to read this, Mary?
No, it just opens at 7:45.
Okay. And do you have anything to share with us?
No, pretty much,
Comments
it's
or
just that
questions?
Qdoba was, belongs to Jackson in a Box, then they sold.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
kidding.
Well, we used to belong to Jackson.
Yeah,
Right.
so
That's
that's
it.
why we are changing that, and the manager we have running the store now, she's in Melbourne. So then Steve took it over, so we transferred to his names, the alcohol license, pretty much what it is.
Okay.
And they did the advertising that was required.
Okay, great. All right, is there any questions?
You can ask if there's any audience.
Anybody else? Questions? All right. Then I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
That was easy.
That was very easy. I wish everything in government worked so quickly.
So do we.
Yes.
You guys are a fine example.
Where's the word Marlboro?
They just opened
It's right on Route 20.
Route 20.
Oh, is it
It's
in
a-
the Apex?
It's across the street pretty much. That's the new plaza, the new mall.
Yeah,
They
the
have
Apex.
the Grow 101.
Yes.
They have the bowling thing,
Yep.
the hotel, so it's right there.
Oh, it's in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
The hotel is above us, so we are right there on the corner.
Oh,
The new
nice.
hotel, yeah.
Okay.
Opened what, 1 month and a half, 2 months ago?
Really?
That's a nice store. Hudson's
Yeah.
better, but it's a nice store.
So this still
I'm
goes to the
sorry,
ABCC.
Berlin.
And once it comes back from the ABCC, then the selectmen will sign the changed certificate with your name on it.
Okay,
Sure. Then
excellent.
you guys mail to the store, right? So that we can.
We can mail it to the store.
Yeah, okay. Anything else from us?
No, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Have
your
a
time.
great day.
That was
Close the
awesome. Thank you
hearing.
for coming by.
See you. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. All right, I think we've moved on to the 8 Highway Facility Superintendent Search. We did have to make a few decisions. Salary range, how many finalists does the board want to interview? And pick our screening committee makeup.
Peg had sent out something really good about the salary range.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was good.
So,
Was it like 87 to, between 87 and 100?
I don't remember. I can pull it up.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Because I went through 3 different
Okay.
normal websites that you'd go through to find money, and that just seemed,
What would
Like
the
range.
heading for your email be? Because I have a lot, I can't really look you up because you're on everything.
probably salary range facilities.
I'll see if I can find it. Action item for Monday night, salary civil engineer.
Do you happen to know what we have, what Keith is receiving now? What's
It's
budgeted?
Low.
She's gonna go
For a
look.
salary?
She's gonna go look.
Yeah. Okay, so here's one of them.
Oh, that's the one.
This is the civil engineer one.
Look at that.
So it looked like,
He's in the fiscal year 19 budget as 85,382.
okay, so
Okay.
it's not as low as I thought it was.
No,
Come on over
behind
here.
you.
So yeah, it looks like depending on experience, you go from 70 to 105.
Yep.
So I'm guessing our center's, probably in here, but, which is right about where Keith is.
Yep.
81,511.
Yeah, I thought he was a little lower than that.
How do you-
But that's not,
Oh,
81?
Is that,
yeah.
you sure?
Oh, you're talking about
81,500
this year, maybe?
This year.
Yeah.
Oh, this year, okay.
And you were looking at
19.
FY19.
Okay.
So we're looking at the
All
same
right.
town report.
So yeah, I mean,
Mid-80s, low 90s, depending upon experience,
and
which is gonna be the key thing.
I think you're gonna have to do a range.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's not in the advertisement, correct? So-
Correct. No, we decided not to.
I mean,
yeah,
but we may have to adjust if there's an employee that would be a good addition.
yeah.
Um,
But we know, I mean, this gives us an idea of where
Right.
we
Correct,
should
if
be
somebody
looking.
comes in
If
and
somebody
says,
comes
"I
in and
want
says,
like
I
a
want
$150,"
110, then we
We're gonna be
say,
like,
fuck
thank
off.
you. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
So what are we saying then?
Probably what, like 80 to 95?
Yeah,
Okay.
Sounds like the correct ballpark.
yep,
And it really will depend on,
correct. On what they can
Um,
bring.
Right.
Yep.
Alrighty. I think we need to talk about the screening committee. I think we had discussed an energy committee member, a building inspector, the building inspector, and someone from highway. Could be Keith or one of his employees. If that's good with you, we can put it out there to the energy committee, and I can let Keith know, or Mary can send an email to Keith, whether it's himself or an employee.
yeah. I know they thought either Tim or Greg would probably,
Now, when, let's see, we're talking about like maybe next Monday is the deadline for the applications.
Yes.
The screening panel could review the applications starting on Monday. I was gonna suggest, and you tell me if this is okay or off base or whatever. Seeing that I'm the liaison to highway, I was gonna suggest that I just be a liaison to this screening committee. And then their finalists would come back to us to take a vote and decide on? Does
That's
that
fine.
sound? I'm not gonna do their work for them, but.
No, I was just saying, if, you know.
I was just
it
gonna
makes
throw it
sense,
out there. You know, if that sounds like it makes sense.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. And I guess
want
depending on,
three?
what's that?
Do we want 3, like we did for building, or?
The 3 panelists or
No,
the 3?
do we want 3 applicants like we did for building, or?
I think sometimes it's rather obvious, but it'll be nice to get 3
Okay.
if there's 3 good candidates.
All right, so just play that by ear depending on what we
Right.
get.
Yeah.
Mary, how many do you have to date?
I wrote it on that cover sheet there, Chris. Is it 10 or 11?
Oh,
Really?
good.
10.
Some are better than others.
I'm sure.
Okay.
So,
That's a nice pool to pick from.
yep.
The second, it ran 2 Sundays in a row, so this last Sunday was the second time it ran in the Telegram and Gazette.
Okay.
Also in the Mass Municipal website it ran.
So then at our next meeting, the finalists would be disclosed to the selectmen, and we can move on from there to, call, interview, make appointments. I don't know if you all, depending on how long our next agenda is, following July 23rd, you may want to just pick a different night.
Okay.
So,
Just in any case there's any failure to agree on somebody, you might want to make sure you have that time, and it'll allow somebody to give 2 weeks' notice where
right,
they're at.
right,
Correct.
And perhaps overlap with Keith,
yeah.
It would be nice.
so.
So does that sound like a plan to everyone?
Agreed.
All right, did we cover everything?
Yep, so the salary range, the committee, next meeting, July 16th, first meeting, for applicant, screening committee,
Yeah.
Right,
okay. And then,
Finalist names to the selectmen on the 23rd.
right.
The selectmen to schedule interviews with the finalists thereafter.
And the interviews with the screening panel are not public, am I correct?
That's right, not until
Not until the
it's
names have been
finalists.
given out at our 23rd meeting. All right,
Okay.
okay. And we did the letters, the acting personnel. Do we have anything else?
Number 10. Number 10 would be next, I think.
Yeah. We did it. We did number 10, did we not?
no, we did.
Oh, I did.
We did 9.
Are you
Yeah.
back on the?
I'm back on the wrong agenda, no wonder.
Sure.
Review feedback regarding subjects, times for town officers' meetings, okay. But all my notes are over there.
I'll read you the notes.
After the, yeah.
That's right, I'll read you the notes. You don't
All
have a
right.
note for a while, so we're all
Okay.
good.
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
So, we had subjects go out to the different departments,
Mhm.
suggestions, and the feedback was there any?
I mean, it wasn't anything out of the ordinary. I mean, it was nice and refreshing to see how many people responded and kind of like the depth of their comments, the same way with the review. So it's nice to see that people are engaging,
Yeah,
which is a good sign. Okay.
and did you have anything else you wanted to offer as far as a suggestion, a subject, or a?
I'm just wondering, not that I think we need to go ahead and do this, but I know one of Dennis's feedbacks was to help us with the bond rating, but we do have a department heads meeting that it seems like would qualify us in that regard.
That's what, tomorrow?
Yeah, and it's monthly, which is what
Right.
he's asking for. So it seems to me that we actually have that for him for the bond rating, unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, unless there's some criteria that maybe isn't covered at the department head meeting.
So I
that-
think we should talk about that just because it
Mhm.
affects the rating, whether that one, because I think it is gonna be hard to do it monthly. I think you're
Yep.
gonna have to do, on this scale, it's gonna have to be further apart than monthly.
Mhm.
So that was all I had.
Okay.
And so for that meeting, are there agendas, notes? Is it formal? Is it just a chat?
There have been notes historically, and it's usually televised or taped for playback anyhow.
Okay.
And everyone's invited to
Because
post
we're
if they
here, we
want to have a
have-
quorum present or
Yeah,
not.
because we're here, we post, and
Yep.
then there would have to be minutes.
Okay.
So, is there one subject area that sticks out over another?
Do we want to do budgeting first, just because that's probably gonna come up
Yep.
quickest, or?
I would say that's probably your biggest pain point is the budgeting, so that we can avoid what just happened here 15 minutes ago. You know, with the constant overages for that, and to make June's life a little bit more easier, so she's not tracking down.
I'm watching you.
I know, I got you too, I got you too. So yeah, no, I think that budgeting should be on top. I mean, how do you feel about that? What will help you in your job with all the department heads? I mean, timeliness of responses, more than just a handwritten note with a, hi, see you soon?
I guess the biggest thing is I think we need to get finance committee, selectmen together, working with the department heads, because a lot of times things are done here, and then with finance committee, sometimes things get lost, I find. I don't wanna say that people or departments aren't seeing the seriousness of keeping track of their budgets or actually understanding what a budget is. I don't know if maybe some of the newer people just don't know what a budget is.
Well, we get two departments that we would hope might create a budget for next year too.
No, but I have a lot of other departments that I'm finding aren't necessarily tracking things,
Mm-hmm.
which kills me, but then we come to the end of the year and it's like, I don't understand why I'm out of money. This shouldn't be a surprise.
Correct.
So,
Is there a checklist? I mean, are you finding repeatable things that people are missing that they're not looking at, i.e.
there is.
vacation time
there's-
increases?
There's a lot of things. I mean, people don't, I get duplicate invoices. They're not realizing that they didn't pay a bill last week, so they resubmit it again this week.
Is this volunteers or?
No. Sometimes it's
staff
volunteers,
or-
but it's not always. I'm finding a lot of our volunteer boards now are requiring way too much time and a lot more accountability, which is not what they signed up for. So I think that is huge. I don't know if maybe we should look at having, I know at one time it was talked that Leanne would help with a lot of that stuff, but I don't know if we need to relook at what some of the smaller boards, and I'm talking like conservation or planning boards or the smaller boards. Council on Aging is one, but you guys are working on that. So a lot of the boards just, I don't wanna say they're not taking it seriously, cause that's probably not fair.
It's
But I
just
don't know if
a
they're just
large expectation
overworked.
for a volunteer.
Mhm.
A lot of these are a
Yeah,
very
and
large
and I'm also
expectation
finding
for
a
a
lot of
volunteer.
the bigger departments now, I don't know, maybe they need an administrator or a secretary or somebody who's actually taking care of the budgeting end of things. Cause that's what I've run into this year. This is actually the second year in a row this has happened. So,
I think first step on that really is town administrator. I think it's hard to fix that until you have somebody who's
It is, but
available to.
I don't think that we can wait 2 years to get the budget under control, so
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know if it's
and
something
I'm
is,
trying to figure out what would be, and what else could I do, and I'm finding it doesn't really matter what I'm doing right now.
is there a checklist? You know, make sure when you submit, you know, every month, check.
Not an official, like, sit down, we're actually working on coming up with one.
Okay.
Because it's one of those things where I don't pay by statement, you have to have an invoice.
Yep.
You can't just submit and say, I want $50, you have to tell me, what are you doing? You know what I mean? For me, to me, that's common sense, that's not really,
Correct.
but I'm finding that's no longer there, so that's, for me,
So is it a communication problem, perhaps? Maybe there's some things that,
I don't honestly know. I mean, we're trying at the department head meetings, I mean, I'm trying to bring up stuff there too, and.
There's not boards and committees present there, though, that's,
Well, not all of them. There's quite a few that don't go, but. I mean, other than just walking them through it week after week, I mean, I give
Yeah,
them
but you can't,
copies and
that's a-
changes, and I'm not a babysitter.
Right, and that's a
That's not
giant
what I'm
time
here
suck,
for.
you know, I mean, that shouldn't be part of your role, so I don't know if I come down for 15 minutes and I just say, go, and you just start to, off the top of your head, and we put it together, you know, just as a first pass.
We can do that, give it a try. I mean,
Give it a
I'm
try
up
and
for
send it
anything
as
out.
far
right
as
now.
budget, you mean?
Yeah, like things,
Subject to
yeah,
budget?
like key items to be aware of, don't submit an expense without justification, you know?
Or it needs to
Don't-
be signed, or, I
Right.
mean, it's silly things.
Keep track of
So
your.
that's why
Yeah.
for me, it's almost, I don't wanna say people are overworked, but it feels like to me, they're overworked in doing the everyday stuff of their jobs, whether it be police, fire, it doesn't matter who, highway. That this is a second thought
Right.
now. The financial end is a second thought, it's not high on the priority list.
And that's why if we give them a checklist, you know, it's kind of like at home. Oh, my check came in, okay, I gotta pay the oil out of this one, I gotta pay cable out of
I mean,
this.
every department's different.
Yeah.
So you guys are gonna work on this, the
Yeah,
budget
yeah.
areas. And,
Yep, budget checklist.
if you have another favorite here and you wanted to add it to, or we'll just have a really short meeting.
Yeah, but I think in general, it can sort of serve as the budget kickoff. Talk about expectations, get the feedback from outside too, because really we know June is getting hit, but what's happening on the other side? Because they may feel they're getting hit also.
Correct.
I'm thinking something else has gotta be going on that I have no idea
Yeah.
on. Because
Yeah.
I just, the
So
last
I
few
think,
years, it just
yeah.
gets worse and worse and worse, and I
Maybe
mean,
just
some
some
of it I-
emphasis needs to be placed on a few things.
Well, I think, dialogue, and let's just see where everybody's at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't want to inundate and say, here's the 15 things that we're gonna change today.
Right.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
then participation goes, "Meow."
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
some of it is just that there's a lot more that some of the departments are handling that they
Yeah.
never had to touch before, whether it be
Mhm.
now, they have payroll, they have employees, they have work-off people, they have mileage now that they have to submit for, and they don't fully understand the whole, as silly as it sounds, mileage.
Yeah.
The concept of the mileage, how to submit a mileage reimbursement request, receipts. You know, trying to get all the information for people when you go to school or go to a meeting, I need to have dates, I need to have where you're going.
Yeah.
So
I would say
Yeah.
to we need to keep FinCom pulled in too. I mean, not only to the meeting, but.
Correct.
I think there is a lot of times, when I was on FinCom, it felt like there's a little disconnect between Selectmen and FinCom. The information didn't go flowing from one to the other, so maybe something we can do with
Yeah,
with
and I mean, I know
that
Finance
department.
Committee is doing they're trying to do the best they can.
Yeah.
And theirs is more on financial end,
Mhm.
nickel and dimes, percentages, that type of stuff, and I get that, but I'm also finding a lot of the departments have expanded, that they do need financial help, and that
Mhm.
it's not just a dollar amount or a percentage increase, sometimes there's a real reason behind why they're asking for more money. And sometimes I think it really maybe needs to be looked at more, not to micromanage, but at least to acknowledge the fact that some of these are legitimate expenses
Yeah.
or increases or. that type of thing too.
Mm-hmm.
But the budget, normally I think we start handing out the actual budget packages in November. But reviews in that have to be done prior to that. And the COLA has to be set also before the budget. So you're talking October, I think the reviews are in, October 1st.
Yes.
So August, September. It's like, right, yeah, we just stopped and then we're starting again. So unfortunately, it's never ending.
So what was the time frame you were thinking of for?
Well, I mean, if there's a meeting already in place tomorrow, seems kind of silly to go right after, but maybe if we do August.
Well, the department head meetings that we have during the day, it's more of a, we get together, we tell, you know, what's going on in your department, what problems are you having. It's just more of a round table, just sit around and
Updates.
updates.
But it's not problem solving.
Do we want to skip July and try and target August, thinking that July is usually a heavy vacation month? You know, and try and hit it and prepare for getting ready for
The
budget?
budget season.
Yeah?
See if there's,
Yeah.
you know, extra things you want, need.
Just be aware I'm gone from the 7th to the 17th in August, and my daughter goes to college on the 28th. So
Must bring tissues.
these are big things that will be
So
happening.
we bring
so
lots of goodies with us.
Yeah.
Unless you want to wait till September.
I have cookies on the
Yeah.
counter too.
And you forgot them.
Unless we wait till September. 1st of September.
And that's fine. I mean, kind of like with everything, I don't want to rush to get it out, to get it done. I
Yeah.
want to get it right
Yeah.
instead of right now. So,
Summer might be a tough time to.
I mean, it might be a
Get
good
people
idea
to
just
come.
to throw something together, just so people can just throw
Start
out
to prepare,
ideas, thoughts, you know, troubles, problem areas.
yep.
Would you like to kind of handle this?
I would love, what, since I came up with it?
well,
Yeah.
that's kind of how it works. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Mm.
No good deed goes unpunished.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Do you want to review the personnel evaluation forms at this time, or do you like to get feedback at this meeting, or do you want to like present them at this meeting and say, this is how
That
this
might be a
works?
good idea because they're due October 1st.
It's around the
per
same
se, but-
issue, the budget building, it's pre-budget building.
Okay.
But then the other thing is the selectmen have kind of historically waited till December to give reviews to these evaluations, and it's not helpful to departments to build their budget when they
Correct.
don't know back what personnel has approved for step increases. So sticking with an October 1 due date for everyone's evaluations, it'd be better if everyone could get their evaluations in early November, which was, I think, the anticipation originally. Yes?
Well, it just helps if we can work on that process, whether it be setting the COLAs, so we can do, the reviews have to be done before you can do a budget process. But it would also be nice to get all the budgets done and into the finance committee timely, so that they have enough time to start the budget process to get it back to the department head, so if there is problems, questions, they can come up with solutions too, because this year it was a quick, this is what you're getting, and there is no discussion. So,
Yeah, so maybe those are the 2 points, personnel, the review, the evals, and let's get ready for budget time 101.
well, unfortunately, it's not just one time a year, and I think that's what people are forgetting,
Yeah.
is that if you're tracking your expenses and comparing it to your budget, then you kind of know where you stand already, so.
Okay. I'll take the lead on that. I'll work with the lovely Miss June.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Is there anything we can do in 4 minutes?
Need that back.
Yeah. 17, I don't care. That just helped with the committee this year. Actually, really used that quite a lot. So we can go ahead and.
You want to
that.
just
I
take a
don't care.
vote to,
Yeah. Motion to remove the unofficial town
unofficial.
report. I don't care.
okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We did not do number 12B, did we?
No.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't do 11 either.
Yes, we did.
No.
Oh, no, that was the dispose of the tables.
Right.
Where were we with did you kind of find out jurisdiction and stuff on the BMS request to donate dispose of playground structures?
Yes.
Are we-
The structures were paid for by the taxpayers.
Okay.
So, I drafted a letter,
Okay.
just outlining the steps that the playground committee would have to take. The first step would be that the selectmen declare the playground equipment as surplus. The items would be advertised to other Berlin town departments and then advertised on the town's website for sale or auctioned off. The money's collected going into the town's general fund. If items remain unsold after advertising period, the Board of Selectmen would then vote to make the items available to the residents of Berlin for free and/or allow for the disposal of the items in the most cost-effective way.
On that, June actually raised a good point, 2 good points about this. One, is there any liability to the town for getting rid of used playground equipment? And the other is, if someone in town claimed it for free, could they take it for free and then get the scrap value of it?
Yeah. Then
Ooh.
That's June.
always thinking,
Sorry.
June, always
I'm
thinking.
sorry, that's.
How would we?
Really?
She's not sorry.
So how would we reword that?
That came up after you and I looked at that letter.
Yeah. But essentially, this board needs to declare it as surplus.
Okay.
And I can have Mary work on what will work for the letter, if that's what you choose to do. We can make a motion to that effect to call the playground equipment surplus that they're getting rid of.
Okay. So I can motion.
Make that
We're gonna
motion.
make the playground equipment surplus.
Mhm.
Okay.
Seconded, as long as I get the slide.
Did you take that
No
thing
litigation
that-
against the town
I was
because
gonna
it's
say-
nuts.
Well, I was
You know
gonna say,
what?
did you take that ethics thing? Because I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't know how many times I fell off of it over there, and I'm still standing after so many years, so I'm good. Okay.
All right,
All right.
so second, all in
Seconded.
favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
That's simply to surplus it.
It's
Yes.
surplus it, so step 1 is done.
And then,
They can decide if they're going to advertise anything or anything, everything or anything, and then we'll have to vote to dispose of it if, or do you, no, I think that we'll
well,
do
you
the
want the money
surplus
to come into
first.
the general fund, did
Right.
you not?
Well,
You could either
We
directly
don't have
scrap
it.
it and get the scrap value for it, that's your decision.
Right,
Or you could allow them to sell it, but the funds would still need to be turned over to the general fund at their effort.
right.
Yeah, if it's town.
And I did explain to them that it would go into the general fund, and Bob said that's no problem. He said the town's been very good to us, and, you know, the group needs to understand that, you know, that's not their money to keep, since the townspeople paid for the equipment.
Do we want to get an estimate on the scrap value of it?
how about
Um,
we start and see what they want to do?
Yeah, why don't we figure out what they're gonna get rid of? I don't know the exactness of it all, but we can talk about it after, okay? And the other thing, I did let them know that if they really did want the money, they could always put an article on the warrant at a town meeting and request the money, you know, whatever it is. So that's the outline I wanted to let you know of before I sent it off to Bob. I did talk to him, but I just wanted to put it in writing. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. We have another appointment. Surprise, surprise.
How you guys doing?
It's the marathon
Well, it would have been
meeting.
better if someone brought snacks.
June, it's not your responsibility to bring snacks. It's really not.
Maybe next week.
Okay, no, 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. Oh, 2 weeks.
I'll see you
Plan.
before then, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go, so.
All right.
All right. Would you like to come up, or do you want to
Stay there.
stay there?
You look comfy.
Well, Beth can come up.
Come on, you guys, up, go. We're having a conversation. Go. Come on.
Where are you
And I need a chair. Bill's gonna stand up
The
and come and sit down.
enthusiasm here is just killing me.
Here we go. All right.
Well, we've been here since 6 o'clock.
We've been working.
I've been here since 6 o'clock too.
Yeah.
I know, but they pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, right.
As we all know.
Yes.
Which is kind of the whole point of our
How many
committee.
appointments have we had already?
At least 3.
Yeah, we're like, oh, they started at 6. Wow.
3.
We're not alone in the building. Pretty good.
I mean, obviously, we know you guys have had a long night. Does anyone
Yeah.
need a break or run out or anything? Okay, let's get this done.
Get it done.
Can't use the
All right, I just said
bathroom.
snacks.
Can't
and
use the
we
bathroom
process
anyway,
that.
so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Tim's on snack duty. Okay, sorry for the shouting in the email. I don't understand why the font was so large. So the Town Management Study Committee is focused right now on building language for the special act for the creation of the town administrator position for Berlin. One of the big things that has to be decided is what amount of hiring, firing, personnel authority that currently resides with the select board will go to this position, and what the relationship is between y'all. Oh, I have this, if you guys, like, this is the email I sent.
Okay.
If that would be
I
useful.
believe this is,
That's it.
that's it.
Does anyone?
But she's got other papers in here too. Do I need to hand these out?
That was another.
That's from last week.
Yeah.
All right.
That was
Never
from last week.
mind.
We're not going to talk about that tonight.
Right.
All right.
We're just talking personnel, right?
We're
An
just
appointment.
talking about personnel, because right now there are the people you all are responsible for appointing. There are the people who get appointed by some other group or board.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who get appointed by some collection, maybe by you guys and somebody else. And then some of the people you guys appoint have contracts, and there are some people who don't. And then, of course, there are all the volunteers.
It's an assortment.
There is very much an assortment of people. Tim pulled together, based on last year's town report, sort of the list of positions that we believe the select board currently appoints, the positions that are jointly appointed, and the people, and the ones that are appointed by somebody else. Did that get sent to them?
Yeah.
Or?
You saw that. That was when you were questioning, I think.
Yes,
That
but
was-
then
you
you
guys
sent
probably-
another one too, correct? You sent the
Same
one.
one.
Is it the same?
I didn't modify it, I don't think.
Okay.
And then of course there are the positions that are voted, which are a different beast. So, the first question, is this the right, to back up just a little bit, there are special acts that sort of list, these are all of the things that the select board appoints, these are the things that the TA will not have jurisdiction over or involvement with. But you lose flexibility in the long term, and as positions are created or changed or move around, it becomes unclear who's responsible for them and what their relationship to the select board or the town administrator is. So, as much as we can, we were trying to move in the direction of categories, elected, appointed, whatever, so as town government evolves, we don't have to keep going back and adjusting language of special act. We don't know what those categories should be. We don't know how much authority you guys want to cede. And we have no idea what you guys think as a body about any of this stuff. And we need to know. That's going to be really important. Because we need to get that piece of this right. We would prefer you to stand up at town meeting and go, yes, we would like this to happen.
Yeah. Do you have, like, a suggestion? I saw that you chose The middle one of the 4 or 5 or whatever there were. And I tend to choose one of the middle ones too.
I think we've all been back, and as we've talked through this, we have read so many special acts. We're like bleeding at this point. And on any given day, we can make very strong arguments for one over the other. And sometimes we read the special acts and are like, wow, somebody got burned somewhere in town government, and they have just written an entire special act to avoid that happening in the future. And
well, there's not a lot of trust sometimes.
There's not a lot of trust, and we're attempting to do trust, but build systems that have checks and balances, and so that are transparent, that everyone can see what's going on and can see where appointments come from, that sort of thing. One other related open issue is the personnel committee, and what the TA's role is in relationship to that body, on the assumption that you guys do not want to continue to be it. A lot of it, certainly for things like volunteer appointments to committees, it makes a lot of sense potentially for the town administrator to be able to collect people who want to volunteer and get them placed appropriately on committees and let you guys know that it's happened. Do you feel like you would want to have the ability to remove somebody? If you're like, oh, that's a terrible idea.
So maybe if I give you 2 examples that would help to, so we were looking at, first of all, none of this stuff is new. It's all, when you look at any of the towns, they all sort of beg, borrow, steal each other's language, which nothing's that new. And since we're one of 26, why reinvent the wheel that don't have a town or some type of professional administration? So we're looking at the town of Fairhaven, and tonight we really went through a lot of theirs. They seem to have a pretty good handle on stuff. So they talk about, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, appoint and remove all department heads under the direct control of the town administrator. Each department head, with the approval of the town administrator, shall appoint and remove all department staff within their respective departments. All appointments shall be based entirely on merit and fitness. All appointments and terminations shall be conducted in accordance with the general laws, personnel policies, bylaws of the town, and any applicable employment contracts, provided that the fire department appointments shall also be subject to section 42 of chapter 48 of the general laws. Is that strong, Chief? Do you know if that's what chapter? We wanted to ask you that question. Well, we were just reading it today. You don't have to answer us now, but that's brought. Okay, so that's the way they do it. Town of Douglas is very different in that they say to appoint in appropriate circumstances to remove, subject to the provisions of any collective bargaining agreements as may be applicable, all department heads, officers, and employees for whom no other method of selection is provided by this act, including but not limited to the chief of police, fire chief, highway superintendent, director of municipal finance, town accountant, town treasurer, town collector, building commissioner, town engineer. So they list blah, 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 blah. Town administrator shall, after consultation with the this is Board of Assessors, Principal Assessors, so they're different there. Appointments of department heads and officers shall become effective on the 21st day following the day on which the notice of the appointment is filed with the Board of Selectmen, unless the Board of Selectmen shall, within that period, by a majority of all of its members, vote to reject such action, or as sooner voted to affirm it. Copies of the notices of all such proposed appointments shall be posted on the town bulletin board when submitted to the Board of Selectmen, except as otherwise provided herein. All offices under the supervision of the town administrator as set forth in this section shall have the powers and duties set forth in the general laws. So this one, the first one I read, is more about the selectmen basically appointing the town administrator and working with the town administrator to appoint department heads, and then allowing the town administrator and the department heads to appoint other people And in this one, it's a little bit, I mean, this one seems a little bit more stronger about, well, this one is saying appoint and remove. This is one in circumstances. So it's sort of giving the nuance and giving the ability to appoint with the board having the right of refusal sort of thing. So it's like the appointment's made, and if you don't want it, then you can vote to rescind that type of appointment. So it's like how much, you guys know what your appointment process goes through and the public aspects of it and how that can bog things down. And I think the other part about all the different lists was, does there need to be a segregation of types of, like, if with committees like our committee, would you want just to, if the town administrator found somebody, you know, to serve on that committee, to just make the appointment and then it be subject to this, and other types of appointments have to be with the board's approval, just to make it more complicated. But it's like, but some, and I'm not reading them all, but some towns definitely make segregations between types, like levels of employees. And so, am I making myself clear as mud?
It's too late at night to do this, isn't it?
Well, I'm a visual person, so I really need to see it on, like, what you were reading.
Yeah.
Could you do it in a grid?
Yes, actually, yes. It is who the town employees, the types, the categories, and then possible relationships.
Who does what?
Who does what? You know, how
Yeah.
much power the TA has. That's
Yeah.
exactly how, and color coding for how involved the personnel committee is sort of an on.
But the act won't be that crazy. But
No, the act will be.
But it's fun. But I think the goal is, like, do you know, when it comes to hiring and removal, do you want a TA to be able to do it, you know, subject to contracts and stuff? Do you want it to be like more? I mean, I think that was I will say, one of the concerns we always were hearing was about appointment and more so removal, I think, than the appointment issues. But, you know, and then the issues of being able to give the authority for this person to appoint certain levels of committees and stuff like that. Do you want to have to be finding all the people and wait 2 weeks to have people appointed, or do you like the idea of a town administrator having assumed you've all done a great job in making a final decision, that you've hired somebody who's, you know.
I think sometimes you don't know until they're in the job.
Right, but then at that point, well, it doesn't mean that, I guess I would say, it doesn't mean that you couldn't give instruction to say, you know, we would like to know what's going on just until we feel out your style, and then turn it loose.
And I'm all about communication, and if there's not a good communication, this kind of helps it if it says,
you want the act to be clear.
well, yes, but a TA recommends action, appointing body must act to decline, otherwise accepted, or TA recommends action, appointing body must accept or decline recommendation. That just makes it so that the TA has to be a good communicator.
Well,
You have to
thank you.
bring the issues to the selectmen. You know, I sit on a board at Devon's where they're all town administrators, and sometimes I think they don't want to go back to their selectmen and tell them things.
Well,
And it
you're also
really
not their
annoys me.
selectman.
No, but when I see that, it's like, you know, it's gonna all depend on who you pick.
I would say also, you know, you do have levels, because I would say for like volunteers, TA recommends action, appointing body must act to decline. For volunteers, that makes a certain amount of
like our
sense.
committee.
Yeah. If you're getting up to the fire chief or the police chief, you may want to go to that next level where we have the option to either accept or decline.
Right.
And those larger sort of.
That was particularly what I'm thinking of, is like the
treasurer, accountant,
police
tax
chief.
collector.
Yeah, like this one,
Yeah.
yeah, you could say, yeah, they may make a recommendation to you.
They're under the
well,
building inspector.
Yeah,
Do you wanna look
so
at this?
the
Do you wanna
building
look at these
inspector, but not
lists?
the inspectors underneath him.
So, okay, so that level you just
That-
assume
that higher
keep
level,
control
yeah.
over. I mean, we can segregate this list out into what seems to be obvious in terms of.
Right.
I mean, usually it's gonna be that single individual as opposed to that group that's in a committee.
Right.
I mean, I would just hate to see the town administrator have too much power, and then you start to get into like, hey, you wanna come on, and hey, you wanna come on, and hey, you wanna come on, and all of a sudden now it's, you have your own.
Posse, and they do.
Correct.
And
So.
they do follow town administrators from town to town.
Right, so I would rather have some sort of oversight where we can step in and go, not so much, with that.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that Upton does for chief of police, fire chief, and superintendent of public works is the TA is responsible for the advertising, the recruitment, and the screening, and presents a slate of candidates to the select board. And then, it's written in here that if the board doesn't like anything, they go back and do it again, until they find, an appropriate candidate.
Yeah, so
Which
that's,
kind of,
that's sort of the accept or decline model right there.
kind of, given a choice of, here are people who meet the qualifications.
But you actually get to make
who-
the choice of
Between
the three
people.
final
Yep.
candidates.
Yeah.
It's like he's the screening for each
Yeah.
year.
You do that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that is totally an option, having them do all of the personnel committee work, as it were, potentially in conjunction with a personnel committee.
Right.
To kind of bring in other voices to the screening process. And potentially even coordinating some of the things that make it difficult in hiring some of these positions when things have to be done on camera,
Mm-hmm.
when it's the board acting as a whole.
Yep. Anything else you'd like to know?
Was that helpful? Yeah.
No one's screaming, which is awesome. We can kind of.
This is an example, Chris, of this is the town of Hanson, and this part here, and it's just talking about it. Actually, that was interesting because that's the one that says relevant board. So it talks about making recommendations. So it's also, outlining in this the ability to make a recommend. Because right now, the library is its own.
Right.
But this would, in here, say could make a recommendation to help them find the candidates to make a recommendation for. They're also different, and I guess we just were trying to understand a little bit better what your thoughts are.
Kiwani.
I know. You learn a lot.
You learn a lot about the
towns.
different positions that you're so grateful you don't have to appoint.
Right. Yeah,
So, that idea of, but you like the idea more of the recommending, so sort of being a clearinghouse of advertising for positions, getting through that process.
I would like that, I just don't want one person to have absolute power.
Especially for salaried positions.
Oh, dear God,
And, but how about volunteers? For this committee, for a IT committee, do you want to have less involvement to appoint all of them and have the refusal on those types of positions?
Well, you'd hope that people would come forward and volunteer if they were interested in those positions.
I'd like to see a summary too, I just wouldn't want to get a note from Beth that said, hey, Chris is on.
Well, I think you could still include the communications where we get the applications, and then we, if we have a comment, you go say, I think this is a bad idea and this is why.
Mm-hmm.
You should.
I'm not as.
It's not like we're not going
concerned
to be able
about
to
the
talk to the
volunteers.
TA.
Oh, right.
So you just make sure you're included on the communications, and then allow them to do appointments for volunteers.
I think the key with some of this is that, if in my understanding is that, it's the selectmen's by bylaw responsibility to make all these appointments. So if you don't delegate any of it, you can't just later say, oh, make these appointments. So
Right.
that's what we're trying to figure out is, to use the special act. And you don't have to decide today, but it's just something, I guess, to understand where we're at, and as we kind of put more stuff, but we have to move fast if we're going to move by September or whatever, to have something ready to talk to the townspeople about and stuff like that. It's to just kind of maybe read through this, and maybe we'll give you some better examples.
Really, this list, I would probably choose about 3 or 4 of them that I would want to make sure the selectmen.
So you are. Go ahead. Yeah, it's.
But there are certain ones that I think
A TA could just appoint.
Yeah,
Okay, so if we come up with a list of ones that the selectmen retain,
Oversight.
oversight as far as, it's more of a recommendation up
Yes.
front, and then you make the appointment, and there's another tier where they make the appointment and give you the within 21 days you can say, no, we don't think this is a
Well,
good
the trouble with
appointment.
that is, I mean, I don't even know if I'd want to say no. It would be really,
Awkward
That's what
at that
it would be
point.
very
I
awkward.
wonder if you can do it in such a way that the TA comes to them and says, this is who I'm going to appoint, and they say, I don't have any problem, and then they go ahead and do it. So you
Right.
don't have that 21-day reversal issue.
Right,
Okay.
that's good communication.
Yeah,
That's-
so it's just, but instead
they would
of,
do
instead
it-
of here are 3 candidates, just this is who I want, this is what I think, kind of a thing on that.
Well,
Well,
certain
Or
people,
potentially,
yeah.
I think, right,
Yeah.
we're Tim talking about the
It's level.
building the tiers to which
Right.
group
Right.
you
So
really
we
want to
could-
pick from a slate of
Oh,
candidates
no, I read it
versus.
over your shoulder.
We can
Okay.
package that up and you can.
Yeah, I mean, just from the
That's,
point of
would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's, I
Should,
used to be on the school committee. They'd bring recommendations to you and then you'd vote yes or no.
Yeah.
So there's some, so again, it's, some situations are you want to see multiple candidates, and other ones it's fine with, here's who I interviewed.
Right,
this
I
is
mean,
who
police
this is why
chief,
this
fire
per-
chief,
right.
that kind of thing,
But for this one, it's like, I
highway-
met this, I met Wayne Texera, he's interested in serving this committee.
Let-
Yeah,
Fine.
let them.
That's fine. Yeah, 90,
can be the tree warden.
99.9% of the time, we rubber stamp those anyways.
yeah.
Right.
But you
And-
still want to have to approve them all.
No.
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay,
Decline.
good, okay, so
I mean,
definitely
and
lines
a
of.
TA is going to learn very quickly the 0.1% that are
So-
going to give them
So there's
headaches.
not necessarily an appointment, it's you still want an, okay, that's where I'm trying to understand the.
Decline.
am I-
Say it
We can-
again.
We can decline. That's the second one, right? On the,
But if you're going to decline, that's within a period of time.
Well,
So
if-
would
if-
it
if
already be
they-
appointed and you'd be declining it within a certain?
No, the
Do you
appointment
know what I'm
doesn't
saying,
happen.
Tim?
Yeah, but I think Chris is concerned.
Yeah, I
Right.
don't
I
want
think
any
Chris' concern is you
awkwardness.
don't want to put
Oh,
someone in
I
a
get that.
position where these guys end up having
Totally.
to say, you appointed him, but we don't want him, get him off of there. You want
so
them to say, this is who I
This is who I'm
plan to
thinking
appoint,
of,
and
and
unless you have
like-
a problem, I'm gonna go ahead and
And,
do it.
right, in X number
Yeah.
of days,
Yep.
if I haven't
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
from you, this is
and
how
I
this
wouldn't
is
make
gonna.
it like 21. You could make it a lot shorter than
Yeah,
that.
sure.
14
A week.
is, we've seen 14. I mean, a week.
No, well, 21 in case there's some weird meeting
It
that's
doesn't have to
canceled,
be
it doesn't
21, it
happen.
could be up
Up
to
to.
Up to
21.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Right.
If,
All
right, if you were to
If
say
guys have a
yes,
better
yes, yes,
sense, I'm a little
go.
fuzzy, but.
Then it would
Versus
happen right away.
silence.
Right.
Yeah.
About hires and appointees, then, if they want them to be vet, in a screening capacity way, and then they have beach.
Well, I mean, in some
The
cases,
piece,
they really want to see multiple
one of the,
candidates.
one common type of language is that the TA
so that's
is
it.
responsible for
That's
daily
fine.
operations, daily supervision of all the bodies, as well as annual evaluations, that then are shared with you guys as appropriate.
So they write all the evaluations?
They would do, that is what some of these say. What do you think about
Well,
that?
Anybody who they manage on a daily basis, I would
Yes.
say yes.
But if you're a level
And then
removed.
if you're a level removed, then
Then
your
their
department head.
their department head
So
does that.
Yes.
Anybody on that top tier that's running underneath them, yes,
So
it
you'd
makes
expect
sense
them
for
to
them.
do the
you wanna have
police
them.
chief.
Okay.
And what do other towns do? Do they,
That's
They
pretty
just let them
standard.
do it, then
The,
it's,
the
The town
TA,
adminis-
the TA does that.
okay, it's
Yeah.
not that, they run it by them first, or run it by selectmen first, no?
There certainly shouldn't be anything in the evaluation that, like, if there's any issues, you guys should already know about them, I mean, right? I mean, that's how, in an ideal world, this is how this is gonna work, since
did you read about any of that in this? Did I read any of that out today?
I've got, no, that's
Not
not,
today.
I wonder if it's not mentioned in yours.
We like use Fairhaven as sort of a, so we'll need to, can you make a note of that?
I've
to
got-
look-
I've got
to
some
look for
language.
one? Okay. What we're trying to do now is create like one master, instead of jumping between 6 or 7 or 8 different ones, come up with one, and then kind of backfill some of the stuff that makes sense.
Okay.
There was a question on one.
So that's the hiring side.
The removal?
The removal side, what's your sense? You don't want that responsibility turned over to the TA at all?
Not full. To me, not full. Again, it's
I think
it's still the same. I mean, hi, I'm gonna hire my posse. Hi, oh man, I don't like you today. See ya.
Right.
You know,
So approve or decline is that level or something stronger?
you want them to come in with a recommendation, and you're gonna
Is it the
listen.
same, is it the same kind of groupings of this group?
Yeah.
It's kind of a recommendation, and this group is
Yeah.
this is what my plan is.
Right.
Let me know if there's a problem with my
There,
taking
there
that
was
action.
there was one, and I don't know what the language was, but if there's a, I don't know, like a sexual harassment or whatever, like to have to immediately be able to put somebody on suspension or stuff like that. That was, I don't think that was in this either. But I suppose that has to do with personnel bylaws.
That's personnel
maybe.
policy, which
So it
doesn't,
might
which
be in
shouldn't be
there.
in the special act
But,
anyway.
but the only ability, yeah, we'll just have to look at that to say who has the ability to act, because if you have a situation and they aren't meeting for 2 weeks and one of them by themselves can't act, you want to have somebody that can have the authority to.
The town administrator, though, or am I correct in saying that the town administrator can seek out the selectmen individually?
They can get that, but if you're but they can't, if it's only your authority to remove or to suspend somebody as a group, you can't act individually. So him talking to if he talked to all three of you, he's in essence creating a
serial meeting.
creating a serial meeting, so you can't do that. So that's what we're trying to figure out, is how do we
sure
make
they
it,
have enough
make it feel like
authority.
there's enough authority for this person to act to do what you think is efficient for stuff that you're like, God, why do we have to listen to this stuff? Or why didn't this get taken care of? And make sure that it's not just left in limbo, that it didn't get delegated. So that, and we didn't talk about that tonight either.
That kind of goes back to the personnel bylaws, and certainly as personnel committee, you guys would have to meet to address something of that nature
But if the bylaw-
right now. But if there actually was a personnel committee, there could be an emergency meeting of that group with the TA, for instance, to deal with.
But if you had
and
a real
potentially with town
emergency,
council.
I don't know. We'll
Right,
come back.
address
We'll
that,
come
and
back
then
to
that
you with
comes
some
back
more stuff.
later.
I just remembered,
Select board.
we just spent hours looking at this, but we definitely liked that when we heard that in another one, and we should look at that. There's the part in this one that I had a question on.
So there's going to be, you'll see, you'll get the full text of this, and obviously potentially that'll be easier for you to mark up and be like, this doesn't make any sense, or why is this way? Like, this is the way it should be. We've got some time for that.
I have a question. So it's not related to personnel, but this talked about the ability to approve payroll and expense warrants. So like Douglas says, to approve all payroll and expense warrants for payment of town funds, such approval shall be sufficient authority to authorize payment of the same by the town treasurer. In the event of the absence of the town administrator, the Board of Selectmen shall approve such warrants. If a vacancy exists in the office of the town administrator, the Board of Selectmen shall approve all warrants or may delegate such responsibility to a temporary town administrator appointed pursuant to section blah blah of the act. So they're giving this person the ability to sign warrants. Is that something you're all fine with?
Yeah.
I think so.
No.
As long as June's still in the
Well, and
corner
that was,
office.
and that's why I was shaking my
Entirely
head.
up to you.
Right, and that's why I was shaking my head, no, is that there's gotta be communication back to her, like, I don't want somebody coming in going, hey, Wayne, can you sign this for me, and it's 15 grand, and you're like, yeah,
Oh,
okay,
no.
and then June
The
gets
that's
it.
not how that
warrants
still
come
happens,
from
but the warrants
June.
come
Generated.
It's
So
simply
we're
letting them do what you do every week.
You
Yeah.
to sign, I would bring it to the town administrator, and they would have the authority.
Right.
So that would be something you would never see.
Okay.
Until after
Well,
the
Well,
fact.
Well,
you
you could
could
ask
see it
to
at
see
any
it.
Well,
time.
No,
exactly, but it would be like, right now, the town administrator would sign the warrants just like you were signing the warrants.
It seems pretty common. It's
not-
it's not an
I
oddball
think that
thing.
the town administrator is gonna know more on a day-to-day basis what's going on with the budget than we do when we look at that stack of sheets every day. I think it makes sense because they know it. They're gonna know it better than we do.
Okay.
And it's the same thing. We trust June, so,
Better. Yep.
you know.
Better.
Well, it's hard because we're hitting you with this stuff cold, so I get it. I mean, it's, you know, I get it. You know.
To think.
Yeah.
It's not fair, so.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you've been part of, you've been in the community and you hear it, so yeah, no, totally
Yeah, but
understand
she's
that.
not sharing her opinion particularly, unless we're forcing you to. We need to.
Well, you're gonna have a whole chance to review all of it.
Everyone will have
But,
opportunities.
no, I mean, I think
5
the
pages or less, just saying. You're gonna have to do it in
8-point font, no problem.
See Mary, she's really good at that.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah.
nice. Nice. No,
Just saying.
we do want something, but we have seen some bloated things that have impenetrable language, and certainly for what we write, we want it to be understandable by anybody in the town who picks it up. Once
Well-
it comes back from the lawyers, our goal is just to make sure they still say the same thing before that it gets set off to the state, but, you know, we don't need to write it impenetrably.
Yeah, I mean, because that actually, we liked that one, because the other ones that we saw were even less descriptive.
Yeah.
They just said Suntown warrants, like, and that was it. It was like, what was that? So, yeah, so we're trying to make sure we pick ones that, we're approaching it from a perspective of giving enough detail so that there's not, I would guess,
Gaps.
gaps,
exactly.
gaps and differences of interpretation on like what was the intent. But also we were trying to make sure, I mean, that wasn't a big sticky point, we just had never brought it up, so it's an opportunity. We can find more examples of how that is worded, but like you said, they're all kind of similar, so I'm just give it a little bit more
I think
detail.
sometimes the TA will sometimes do different types of reporting back to the selectmen, I think, too.
Yep.
So even though you don't see the daily, weekly warrants and things, you may wind up seeing a more summarized version
An
of what's
executive summary,
happening. Or
which
Yep.
would be really helpful.
Yeah, well, we liked one that was in here, which wasn't in what we talked about today, but we actually talked about putting it in, was talking about reporting on the town's financial situation. It says quarterly or more frequently if the board says that. So it's like,
It was definitely a quarterly, like, here are all the numbers, this is where we are, you know, a serious budget report. And then many more are much more like kind of a
and
summary.
we thought monthly
every
was like
6
maybe
weeks or
2
so,
months,
just
so we
not,
figured
and
if
not
we
just
put
financial
quarterly and
stuff,
let you.
right, the other actions that they're doing, everything that's going on.
Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
always build that flexibility.
Flexibility,
in.
yeah, so we thought, some said monthly, some said quarterly, so we just thought if we say quarterly and you guys want it more frequently than that, you could do that because it gives you the ability to do that.
Oh, if you said monthly.
It would say,
No,
if you
it
say
says at
monthly,
least
they
quarterly.
have to do it monthly.
Oh,
If you say
okay.
quarterly
Then
or
you can
as
request
directed
I
by
thought
the
it is
board.
the other way around.
No.
No, you say monthly and then it's, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, because if they say
Gotcha.
monthly, it's in the act, they have to do it that way.
Right.
Without any flexibility, so.
But again, now you guys get
This is an
monthly
example of the
financials.
TA
It'd be a matter
report,
if you want to report,
Town of Essex.
actually documented and highlighted and that type of thing. So you just may ask for different things too.
Yeah, so as we
Figuring out
write
what you
this,
want,
June, I
you need
mean,
to
you
know.
know, it'll be good for you to look at that part too, to give
That's kinda
feedback,
nice.
you know,
Because
certainly.
again, it all depends on what the board
Wants.
wants. And every board changes,
That
so
one
it's
is
gotta
done
be
monthly.
generalized enough to
Yep.
make the future happy too.
Yep. Well, sometimes it may not happen at all, so this make sure that the townspeople know, like, this is at least being given to them on a quarterly basis. So, I mean,
Does this
I think that's
keep
why I kind of like the idea.
Yeah, that's how we got it.
Lets the town say what
It's on the
its
web-
It's
expectation
on their
is.
Website.
That's what we were
from
looking at, is a
oversight.
quarterly on the website for the universe. This is what the TA's been up to.
What town's that? Littleton has a very active blog,
That town is,
for example.
that one is Essex.
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 Yes.
Mm.
I mean, it's nice too, because it kind of keeps the town administrator
Accountable.
accountable so that
Mhm.
the town folk can look and go, oh, what's going on in that office? you
And
know?
now they know.
Yeah.
Well, I think that sort of builds in the transparency
Yep.
that you want, because it probably isn't listed anywhere now that's required. So
Is
this,
that you want? Or you probably have a.
Good.
Okay. I know, just ask her. Thank you.
Eyes roll.
I know. I didn't want to assume. Okay.
no, that definitely will be helpful.
So what other questions do you have for us?
Those were the big ones. Wayne, do you feel like you've got enough we can at least,
Yeah, I just
And-
wanted to
and-
feel good about that.
Yeah,
one
So we need a
part.
grid. That's the first thing. All right, so we got a grid on,
That'll be like sort of to help understand it, but
Yeah.
this will be more
I can
simple in the
totally
end.
make a grid because I have that grid in my head. I didn't have my large pieces of paper, and I wasn't 100% sure about the categories, like how, and once Tim figures out how we sort the people, then we have categories for one side, and we do the power level to the other side.
Yep.
And, put the personnel committee across them. It's gonna be awesome. I love this stuff. All right.
will it have sparkles? Just
Do you
saying.
want sparkles?
On occasion.
All right.
A pop-up sparkle, just
All
saying.
right.
All right.
Bling is always good.
All right, now we know. I mean, I really hadn't considered that. So this is why we bring things to you.
No, it'll be good, because it'll be nice to see across the board, and then you can look at it instead of trying to flip from
Yep.
page to page to
Right.
email to say who
Yeah.
has the ultimate authority
Yes.
to do what, and then who's gonna step in to double check.
Which one's this?
That's Hingham, the language about the involvement, presenting a slate to the Board of Selectmen for
Oh.
the candidates for the big positions.
Oh, okay.
Have you talked to Upton at all, the town of?
That's Upton is one of my favorites in terms of we like
All right,
their
because
stuff
the only
a
reason
lot.
that I ask is when I went to you're a selectman, now what training?
Yeah?
The gentleman sitting beside me said that for Upton, they had a town administrator. First time out, horrid.
Mhm.
Horrid. They bounced the person, got rid of him, and then they rewrote it, and things are much nicer.
And writing it, if we can avoid the rewrite
bounce?
part and
Yes.
just
Yeah.
get it right the first time.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Yeah, so just so you know, so like our goal with the way has been that we want to get the special act squared away because it's helping us understand like the responsibilities aspect, but then from that will come, I still have to get in touch with all those people still. Is job description and then hiring practices of, how to, because I think that's another part of the challenge that some towns outlined really well was what's their hiring process.
Some towns do a great
and some
job with
towns
that.
it's just like, was there a hiring process? So it's,
Well, it's the same thing. I mean, you can interview really, really well and then get in there, and as Lisa was saying, within a month, the big stink goes off and you realize you made a mistake.
there's only so much you can really
Correct.
know.
Hide,
Yeah, that
yeah.
always happens. Or not always, it can happen.
It's a lot you
can
can
happen.
Google on TAs.
Yeah, so we'll
They
try
usually have a
to.
paper trail.
The other thing is we've got a good network with Central Mass and some of the folks they know as to which TAs have fled towns in disarray and others that have really
And whether or
worked
not
out
that was a
well.
question of them being hounded out by a select board that was totally non-functional
Yeah.
versus, them setting things on fire, so.
Yeah, so I mean, I think,
there are
some have talked
definitely-
about having committees that have,
both ways.
so
Totally
that
can.
it's not just the selectmen, there's a selection committee and it's got
Mhm.
different people, so we'll be going back looking at that stuff too.
Yep.
How long would the TA be in place for?
Some say there's a contract that's up to the determination of the Board of Selectmen. It doesn't specify, a lot of them specify 3 years.
No more than 3 years.
No more than.
Often an annual contract, and then usually the first contract's a year.
Yep.
And then if that works, then it might be 2 years or 3 years
Okay.
for them.
Yeah, so it talks, like the one we just were looking at today, it doesn't give as much specificity, so we're trying to figure out, do we want that in the special act as far as, but probably leave the qualifications part to the job description versus in the special act. But we've seen it run the gamut, because we've all said, I think that's the direction we've heard is that, this town wants to hire an experienced town administrator, not a novice. Nobody wants to be the training ground. So I think, that's.
I think initially, yeah, you got to.
Yeah, and
So
and then
we
there's
get the hang
and then
of it,
there's the
too.
interim aspect too. So that'll be a help too. So that's it for us.
And we're looking to have this in place by...
Yeah, can we just talk about that for a second? So, because you were throwing out a timeline of when the other day, potentially?
For what?
Just a special town meeting, if we were gonna,
Didn't,
like, of October?
Didn't Eloise say October? Wasn't that?
That
her-
So if you back into that, so when would we need to have a final,
First week of September.
Yeah.
by the first week of September?
What we don't have clarity on now, and the thing that's on our list to go back to town council with, and McNaughton's office, if he has anybody who can work on this with us, is
Well, he's supposed to be, right now, they're supposed to be looking at our bylaws. I did send them over and there was something about fitting this easily into our bylaws. So
fascinating. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll get something for that.
Yeah.
It is unclear. We may have to have approval at town meeting of the special act, and we may also have to have approval from the voters, as well as legislative approval. The order in which that happens, and if voter approval is required, is unclear.
So it's November or bust?
Well, it might be November and then goes to the state.
Legislature.
And then once they
comes
approve
back.
it, it could be
It
a
has to-
go.
it has to be
Maybe
board
it
vote.
has to go to the legislature first and then come back and be voted on here. Maybe we can skip the vote
Well,
entirely.
we can't get it on the ballot for this November.
We
Yeah.
we know that's not gonna happen. So if we can, but it can be a lot sooner if we don't have to do the vote, and if we can handle it all at town meeting.
I think that's
Like
where
next spring would sort of be
clarification.
the earliest.
Well, I mean, that.
For us to start
Well,
the
Division of
process
Local
to-
Services has given us examples of, initially they told us, you know, you can have the town meeting vote to approve it, go to the legislature, but typically it would come back and have to be authorized on a ballot vote. They said if you can do it before, then, and the voters approved it, then it would, you know, go into effect when the legislature approved it, but we just don't have the
But,
timing to do that. But we've
yeah.
also then heard that there are towns that wrote their special act in a way that just said it's it's approved by town meeting and then approved based on the approval of the legislature, and it's
And those seem to be-
they've approved
they have a
it.
town
So
administrator.
so we don't.
We
But
also-
we're not clear if it's because they already have one. It's managers, or we're not really sure.
And we also don't know, we believe we could start a hiring process before we had final approval. We couldn't hire somebody, but we could start the search, we believe.
But
So,
not
but
if,
we're-
not
but
if,
we're talking, you know,
but
next
not
summer.
if, but not, but
To
not.
start
Probably
the search.
No, next summer is probably realistic in terms of getting somebody in, as sort of at the earliest.
Okay.
They do seem to, like, it's an after town, like, town managers are on a, like, all professionals, they work on various, and it's an after town meeting, like, after approval of the budget, that's when town managers turn over, right? They get that final budget done, and then they move on to the next job, unless things are on fire.
Yeah. And I can tell you, Representative Naughton also told me that our timing is really good as far as getting it through the legislature. He said we could not have picked a better time to send it over than this
So-
year at this time.
So again, when do you think we have to have something final? Like, when would a warrant have to go out?
Mary's a better person to ask about the
So-
exact timing.
So Mary?
Notice for a special town meeting has to be just a
14
week.
days, I think.
Is it 14 for a special?
I think it's 14 days. I could double check.
It's 14 for the annual, right?
No, it's.
Do you have to get it printed and?
That's that
Well,
1 week
that's
before
just a
town
little
meeting,
one
plus
though.
to get the annual
It's not
town
like the
report
big
in the
book.
mail.
You can get that, we got that printed.
Yeah.
Heck, we had that sucker out in a week, right? Less than a
I just
week?
want to make sure, I mean,
It was
we're
like-
just
it was
all,
days.
parts of us are away.
It goes to
So we don't
Clinton
really, we really
Offs-
won't be
yeah.
back at
It
this
goes to
as a
Clinton
whole.
Offset Printing and it's back, like,
Because we've got,
Yeah.
we need to get something written and then get it back
Get
to
it
you guys and get it back
to town council and
town
then be
council.
able
Well,
to
and
have
also to,
public
like,
hearings about
town
it.
officials, even before it goes
The
to the
council was
lawyers,
posted 14 days.
14.
just to make sure that.
So that's like, so that would be like the beginning of October. It would have to be posted, so which means we'd have to really have it done like this first, second week of September. Like,
So you've got 2 months.
We were talking about.
I'm away in 2 weeks. she's
You and
away,
Ellie?
So it's like.
But then everyone's like, after
Ellie
the
put out a bunch
15th
of
of
dates.
August,
Do you know
are we
what
all
those
back?
dates were? Or do you want me to pull
Yeah,
them up?
but like.
Awesome, so we have
Yeah.
2 final weeks,
That's what I
we have
mean.
2
It's
final
like,
weeks
it's a
to clean
little-
stuff
it's a
up
little
anyway, but
stingy.
potentially,
It's a holiday.
if we can get
Yeah.
something
You
done, like
move
if
it
you
to
can do something,
Tuesday night
and then we can
instead of
clean it
Monday
up, and
It
then
might be able
maybe
to go
then
to
you guys
town.
can
I mean,
take
Ellie
it back
put out some dates.
to
Yeah,
June
she
and
gave us-
Eloise and
2, 9, and
people,
16,
you know, and
didn't she?
FinCom, and so they can look at the language and be like, why? Get all the freak out
Yeah.
over and see what
And
it
that's
actually
also,
means.
you know,
And
Oh,
then
you're
decide
gonna miss
they're
all the
okay.
fun.
Representative Naughton's office also
Sorry.
wants it the minute you have it
Yeah?
in solid form. They want to be able to see it.
So
that
we
they
have to
can-
give it to town council. Do we have the right contact there?
Yes, we have the town council people,
Okay.
but we don't want to do that until it's been through town people here. Like,
I guess so.
because we don't want to send it to town council
Are you
and then be
guys
like,
having
oh, we
town
have to change
officers
all these
meetings in
sections
August
because
or
nobody can
September
deal with
scheduled?
what we've suggested.
We're trying to
Trying.
decide. This would be the contact person for the,
What?
Are we just saying a town
I
officers
like
meeting?
to delegate.
I noticed.
So.
We'd love to have a town officer
Recount.
to show that this office
Recount.
town officers meeting.
These were
The
Ellie's dates.
It's tough for
first
3. You get
week
voted. Everybody steps
of-
back.
Yeah. I think we were poking at the 15th.
All right, what did you just volunteer me for?
So town.
That I wasn't
town-
paying
town
attention.
Oh, yeah,
officers
yes,
meeting
yes.
To talk about this
Talk about
versus trying to go around
Okay.
That'd
completely
be good.
individually.
Alright.
So we were just looking for, thinking about dates, if we've got to
Yeah.
try to meet like a middle of September, like final verbiage of this, never mind other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this is why I said set the timeline now, so you know.
August 1st?
I mean, in reality, we would need to have the special act language and I mean,
You don't have to have a job description.
You don't have to have
All
a
we-
job
we can-
description.
We can work on that once we got the special act through.
up until a town meeting, and even a selection process doesn't have to be defined until it
Exactly.
comes-
You think the
until
voters
next-
would like that without a job description first?
Well, this is a job.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's saying-
the special act itself is basically a job description. It just doesn't have every level of detail. And the other aspect too is that you guys get to have some feedback into the job description. I mean, it literally reads like a job description. It's just how much detail do you want?
Right.
And I haven't seen other job descriptions, so I don't really know how far, they depart from the special act.
They're much more compact.
They're much more compact than the special
And
act.
and they do break it out in terms of, daily, those are actually
And
much more like the
honestly,
DOR
my
letter.
guess is based on how many,
That's
how
true.
many bills
actually.
looked at, once you have the special act language, he can probably pull the ad together
The
out
ad
from
together,
that.
yes,
These are-
Because
these
he's
are-
seen so
these are
many of
job
them
descriptions,
quickly.
and they're a lot shorter than the special act.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Well, those are the ads though, right? Not the full job description?
It's pretty close.
But they're pretty close, yeah.
So it'll be close, Mary,
Yeah.
I think.
But do you think we could
Slide
have something to be ready to
voters say who
go
they're electing to make
to
these decisions.
people the
to a
first
town
week of August for
administrator.
people to look at and comment on?
Do you understand what I'm saying?
First
So
week of August,
they
yes.
might want to
Yeah.
see the maiden version of a job description.
I
just
mean,
for-
if Wayne has something back to us by the time he leaves on
Or not.
Sunday,
Even with that, you still have time.
and we.
Oh yeah,
You need
yeah.
the
I mean, we'd still have time, but we get the language to get and still
Like,
be able
we
to
work on
draft
it.
that because it's not the legal
On
document.
And I'm
Wednesday.
guessing, this is the hard part, I'm guessing you're
Have a
probably
good
between
couple
50 and
weeks to work on it.
75%
Have a good couple
because
weeks
you've
to work on it.
Oh,
already
yeah.
got
Take
the
parts
hard
of it back
questions. You just need to
to,
start
to people who
together
know or whatnot,
and
so
start
they, so
getting
some
feedback on
people
the
in town will have seen it to correct some of the really low-hanging fruit. I could take it to,
Yep.
Buzz and Scott or whatever.
Are we good here?
I think so. It just helps to talk it through. Thank you.
All right, so, sorry we didn't bring treats either.
All right. Thank you all,
Thank you
You're welcome.
very much.
That-
Tim, do we
Madam
need to
selects
officially
people.
adjourn our chunk?
madams. Yep.
Tim,
So to you, Chair,
can I get a motion?
To adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
On the playground equipment, if I can interject something on the playground equipment, you're not gonna get an estimate with the stuff in the ground.
Say that again?
Either
On the
wait for-
playground equipment, you're not gonna get an estimate of what it's worth while it's in the ground.
No.
And the other thing is, who's gonna take it down? Are they gonna cut it up? Because if it's cut up in 3-foot lengths, it's probably worth a little more money than if you just store it in a container in long jumbled mess.
It's worth something though.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I would check with Thompson's here in town, and then the other one would be Framingham Salvage, who we use at the transfer station. And they can at least give you a price per ton, because in both cases, it will go over a scale, so. I'll take a look at it, see if I can discern anything.
Okay, that'd be great, thanks. All right.
All right.
Mary, you're gonna have to tell me, or Lisa, or somebody's gonna have to tell me, what do we have left?
We left
Skipped around.
at 12B, tax collector,
12B.
Sun Edison litigation.
Okay. I don't know if I can find it in here, but
It's a big green
It's right
and white
here.
envelope.
Yeah. Oh, you got something in there?
I can get my hands on it because it's this.
Grab that.
I think I'm gonna have to go through here and make sure that we signed everything too.
It's, wait a minute, I flipped too far. It's this green envelope because this is how it came into our mailbox,
Okay.
or your mailbox.
So this was a document, which I believe I copied you on.
Yeah, this is the bankruptcy for
Right.
Sun Edison.
And Dennis is asking to have it sent to town council to handle. So, is there any other questions about this, or
No.
that I probably can't answer?
Yeah, no, I
This is why
read
we
it.
have town council.
Yeah, I read it 3 or 4 times and still had no idea what it said.
Okay,
Yeah.
so why don't we, do I hear a motion to send this Sun Edison litigation information or bankruptcy information, I should say, to town council.
Motion to send the information to town council.
Seconded.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and
14.
14, is that after this? Must be after this one.
Yeah. That's the-
Here we are. So, when we received this, we did send it to Tim to, he is suggesting that we send it to town council, this town.
Eastoppel.
Yeah, Eastoppel.
Eastoppel.
For the
yeah.
Joe Jenny Solar Garden. I was wondering whether this was something that perhaps was sent to the treasurer tax collector office to, no?
No.
Just to see if things are good, in good standing?
Oh, in that regard. Oh.
Yeah.
No, they already did that, is my understanding.
Okay.
This is their Eastoppel, but they recommended, they said most towns, when he called them, they said most towns send it to their town council, which is
Okay.
why he recommended that you send it to town council to look at, just to make sure it's all
right.
in order.
Would you like to make that motion?
I move that we send the Eastoppel over to town council to look at and make sure everything's in order with it.
Okay.
I second.
All right. Anything else? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. What
It's a
else
good
are we
thing we're almost
missing
done,
here?
'cause I'm rapidly reaching.
I think
I
we're
know.
done. I think
Yeah.
we're down to other old selectmen and nothing for the executive session. I think we've gone through everything.
All right. I think we did. And I'm gonna run through the folder after the meeting just to make sure we've signed everything. So, does anyone have any other new business or?
I sent you a tentative date, week vacation that I'd rather not broadcast on television, but I'm gonna
Yes.
double check and make sure that that's an actual date, and then I'll get back to you all by email.
Okay. Sounds good.
Vacation's good.
Yep. Anything else? I think we're all started out here.
Do we know, Mary, do you know, for the library testing, do you know if we ever got the results back for the water?
I don't think that I saw results.
Why did I think the initial testing was not worrisome, though? They were not worried about the first go-through. It was the later ones that might... I don't know where I'm pulling that from, but my understanding was that the first tests that were done we were
They were
probably going
okay.
to pass, and it was the later ones that we probably
Well,
weren't.
don't they generally go into a little bit more detail when
Yeah,
they get
I
into
think there's...
Do you want me to
more
ask?
and more water
That's
testing?
If you could, yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
curious, just so I can get back to the library peeps and let them know what's going on.
Okay. We did have a call today, while I was sitting here in the office, from Nathan Boudreau, Senator Tran's assistant, asking for, what was it, Mary? It was,
Something that, another spending priority that would fit into an environmental funding bill. What in the town?
and, we're supposed to
Could
come up
possibly
with
fit
something on the
in.
spot. So we thought of the water.
And septic.
The well and septic.
Being that it's
for
a
the
Mass
library.
DEP ACO, so
So, and I believe Mary sent off something to them.
just Bob Hodge provided some quick off-the-cuff information late this afternoon, and
So-
it was sent to Senator Tran's office just to see what magic they could do between all the towns in his district,
Yeah,
if
Matt
any.
was contacting all of the towns in the district.
No
so-
guarantees, no.
Yeah, but I thought, what the heck? So we did that. I don't know if there's much else I have to update you on. Dennis has been sending me emails updating me on
Yep.
how things are going as
Mhm.
It
new
looks
tax collector.
Yep.
And
Things
yeah,
are going beautifully.
sounds like it.
Mm.
So if he continues to send them to just me, I will forward them.
Yep.
He's sending them to you as his liaison.
I know.
Yes. But yes, I like to see them too.
All righty.
So,
Okay. So, other new business, old business, selectmen updates. Do you hear anything else?
Did I just miss that? You guys talked about the certificate of occupancy for the highway barn today? That was issued?
I did get an email to that
That it
effect,
was
yes.
issued.
It was just today.
And then the
Yes.
1870 is subject to the AAB appeal next week. So hopefully
Yes.
that also comes
And
up.
I did tell you all that Thomas is going,
To Boston.
yeah,
And Joe.
Oh,
and
that's,
Jill.
that was the other question I was gonna ask, Maplewood. Were you planning on handling Maplewood? Did you want one of us to handle Maplewood? Did we wanna get Tom involved in that since he's been handling Maplewood?
You mean,
Well, I
don't think
saw
there's
something
anything-
come in today.
Yeah, I
That
don't know
looked
that
like
there
it
was.
needed something. but-
It was just saying that they approved of the
Something
soil
with the soil.
that was picked.
Okay.
So that, I mean, if there's a problem, you know.
George Naslis usually handles that for Weston and Sampson.
Yeah, the
Okay.
LSP.
Yep.
I forget what it stands
Yeah.
for.
I
Licensed
just wanted to make
professional.
sure, because,
Yeah. No, I think
it's a
that was
decision
fine.
thing, and-
That one was
Okay.
fine. We'll play it by ear and see how it goes.
Okay,
All right.
cool.
Then with no.
Motion to,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Whatever,
with no,
um,
no reason for executive session. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.